$125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at sori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
Yeti stereo microphone. Okay, we're good. Type 22 if you can hear us, dear listener. I told you guys we were going to return, we have in a big freaking way. We have got the a pretty ridiculous show on the way. Shout out to Clarissa.
Yes.
Heard you're having a hard time, shorty. It's all good. We got some music for you today. From Twitter confinement.
Oh no.
Yeah, man, the Overlord's just suspended his account.
Oh no.
Free Applejack. I'm gonna write a specific letter. I'm gonna write a letter. Elon, from one African American to another. Free my boy.
Wait. What?
You didn't know that Elon's African American?
No, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, he's South African.
Oh, really?
So he was on the continent, so he's an African American. That's the big joke.
Okay.
Okay, guys, Zombie-holic in the house. Recovering, Blair in the house. We got all our OG, all the gangsters in the house. All the gangsters in the house. All right, guys.
Everybody's here. Okay.
We have an amazing show for you guys today. You guys saw some of the lineup. We didn't even include everybody in the entire lineup.
Nope.
So we've got some sneaky little bonuses for you as well. So that's coming down the pike for you guys as well. But we will start with song number 1. Now, are we supposed to reveal who the streamer is today, or is that something that's supposed to be confidential?
He didn't say either way.
All right,
so I was just about to announce it. So I guess we won't announce it until he tells us if we're streaming or not.
Person, if you want us to let people know, then we will let people know. Having said that, okay, there he is. It's Seven Dusted, the man, the myth. I mean, I don't really know why I said that. I mean, I've got it up there, brought to you by Seven. So maybe you could turn up your light just a smidge. You look like you're in a cavern somewhere.
Maybe I am. Maybe I am.
Okay, guys, here we go. Yeah, Seven's like, it's on the banner, you idiot.
Is that too pale now?
I don't. All right, here we go, guys. Song numero uno. Is there a little? Are you sure there isn't a little write up to?
Yeah, he does. He has something written up for each song.
Okay, so let's do with song numero uno.
Okay, I'll get that thumbnail up there later. All right. Let me just open this up. Okay, 7 dusted. Elton John, Empty Garden is our first song. Elton John, Empty Garden. 42 years ago yesterday, December 8th, 1980, John Lennon was murdered in New York City.
Damn.
This is a live performance of the song that Elton and Bernie Taupin wrote in tribute to John. About 6 years earlier, John and Elton recorded a song together, and Elton made John promise that if the song went to number 1, John would play the song live with Elton at a show in Madison Square Garden. Of course, it hit number 1, and John did as he promised, joining Elton on stage on November 28th, 1974. It was one of Lennon's last live performances. Elton would only ever play Empty Garden in MSG and says the song still makes him too emotional to play very often. Side note, on the same date in 2004, we lost Dimebag Darrell. So for me, this is a musical tribute to both John and Dime. Oh, and we are watching the live at Madison Square Garden version.
Yes, this looks pretty official looking-ish. So
oh, no.
It's very possible we could get a copyright strike, but that's okay because Seven's my boy. If that happens, dear listener, the fix is very simple. You just hang out for a little bit. The screen will go black. It'll say it's suspended, and then it'll come right back. So just hang out for 5 seconds or so. We'll be back, and we'll keep it moving. But having said that, we knew the risks. Shout out to Alfonso Drummer from Mexico. Empty Garden, Elton freaking John, dear listener. Let's go.
Do it.
I've had so many incredible nights in this building. A couple of them spring to mind. One was a concert after 9/11, which was such an incredibly emotional and amazing experience in the worst circumstances. But another was in the most joyous of circumstances. It was on the 28th of November in 1974. And we were joined on stage by a petrified John Lennon, who kept his side of the bargain, and because the record that we made together went to number 1, he agreed to come on stage. And to be honest with you, I've never heard a reception for anyone like that in my life when he came. It still gives me goosebumps, and it still makes me very, very sad and happy at the same time, because we all know what happened a few years later. And I only ever sing this song at this place.
Because that's where they performed together?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he got shot in New York too. We
that guy?
No, John Lennon. John Lennon got shot.
Oh.
He's got like a skull earring type thing. Pretty interesting.
Because it's the only place that it's appropriate to sing it, and it's too upsetting for me to sing it anywhere else. But this is called Empty Garden, in the memory of one of the world's most incredible men, musicians, songwriters, John Lennon. What happened here at the New York sunset disappeared. I found an empty garden among the flagstones there. Who left here? He must have been a gardener that cared a lot, who weeded out the tears and grew a good crop. Now it all looks strange. It's funny how an insect can damage so much grain.
Damn.
What's it for, this little empty garden by the brownstone door, and in the cracks along the sidewalk? Nothing grows no more. Who left here? He must have been a gardener that cared a lot, who weeded out the tears and grew a good crop. And we are so amazed, we're crippled and we're dazed. their tears. Some say he found his best in younger years. But he just let the roots grow stronger. If only he could hear. Ooh, left here, he must have been a gardener that cared a lot. Who weeded out the tears and were good to cry. And now we pray for rain. And with every drop that falls, we hear your name. And I've been knocking, no one answered. I've been knocking for the dollar day. Oh, I've been calling, hey, Johnny, can you come out to play? I've been knocking, but no one answered. And I've been knocking for another day. Oh, I've been calling, hey, Johnny, can you come out to play? Johnny, can you come out to play in your empty garden? Johnny, can you come out to play in your empty garden? Johnny, can you come out to play in your empty garden? Johnny, can you come out to play in your empty garden? Johnny, can you come out to play in your empty garden? Johnny, can you come out to play in your empty garden? Johnny, can you come out to play in your empty garden?
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
What a story behind that.
Damn. That ooh. That's tough, man. That is really tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like that last little line. Like I don't. Did they? Seven is gonna have to help me with this, along with Dwayne. That last segment, can't you come out and play Johnny? Was that part of the original song, or is that something that
was added to
post mortem, or was that in the original lyrics themselves? Because holy shit, if that was in the original lyrics, talk about foreshadowing.
I know.
R.I.P. John and Dime. So Dime, that's crazy that they had the same death day, I think. Or was it Dime's birthday yesterday?
No, he said on the same date in 2004 we lost Dimebag Darrell.
Damn. Okay, so we lost that's incredible to me. Like that you
it didn't get blocked either.
Two massive people that are
on the same date. Just separated by years.
By the same thing, a deranged fan. Deranged fan killed John Lennon, a deranged fan killed Dimebag, so.
Oh, that's who killed John Lennon?
Shit is weird, man. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, dude was weird. Like some weirdo that was like obsessed with him, and I think he asked for his autograph, and then he shot the homie. Like, shit was weird, bro. Like, I don't know, man.
Oh my gosh. Ooh, okay.
This happens, you know, it kind of catches you off guard a little bit because, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but like with rap, like you expect that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm seeing this guy.
That's
he
terrible,
said
but
this,
yeah.
blah blah blah. But it's kind of like you expect that shit.
Yeah.
But like pop stars, like I don't care, white, black, orange, whatever. Like a pop star, especially at the level of the Beatles or even a guy in a metal band, like you just do not expect to wake up and hear that fucking news, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so that's tough, man. That's a, and like for these licks, so he wrote this song called Strawberry Fields Forever, which is interesting because there's a place in Central Park called Strawberry Fields. I went there with my ex-girlfriend one time. Yeah. So I don't know if it's that Strawberry, but there is a Strawberry Fields in New York City in Central Park. I don't know if that place was named after Lennon or not, though. I don't know. But anyway, Dwayne was saying that the garden was Strawberry Fields. So, like, he had this song called Strawberry Fields Forever, which I'm assuming is maybe a song about, like,
I thought we reviewed that one.
We might have. I'm not sure. Was it about, like, being young forever or something like that? And then, it's kind of ironic, like, now that he's gotten older, now the strawberry field has turned into an empty garden.
Yeah, we did do that one.
Yeah. Yeah. So strawberry fields kind of turned into an empty garden, which is kind of pretty. That's a pretty meta way of looking at it. You heard from your mom after school. Wait, what? Like about Dime? Did you hear that about Dime or about Lennon? 7. But yeah, it's a crazy thing when like you lose one of these people that you grew up to and listened to for years. Like, and I remember like the day that Biggie died, and our stepfather was the one that told us the news, and we're like, no, like that. We all ran into my brother's room because he had the radio, and we turned it into Hot 97, and they were talking about we couldn't. It was so weird because we were listening to Big Hypnotize just came out. Biggie, 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 can't you see?
You were listening to that when he came in and told you?
We had just got back done school shopping because we moved, and like tomorrow was gonna be the first day of school. It was on a Sunday. I'll never forget it. It was Sunday, March 9th, and my stepdad was like, yeah, Big got killed, blah blah blah. Like we were like, yo, that's crazy. We're just listening to it in the car, like, cause that's like. No way.
How long did it take before you like believed it?
Oh, well, we ran into my brother's room and turned on Hot 97, and then boom, like, But like to hear, like I said, that was terrible. But damn, he was at a Seven Dust show when they announced that Dime died.
Wow,
that shit is crazy. That's crazy. I wouldn't even have announced it, bro. Like I would have just kept it moving. Like I don't even know how you can play after that. How could you, like, me, like, if we were doing a show and, like, somebody as big as Dime died, like, that would be the end of the show. Like, I wouldn't even, damn.
Are you serious? All the fans, they have to not only lose Dime, but they also have to not have the concert?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't talk about it. Like, people should, I'm just saying for now, like, if we're ever doing a show and, like, one of my folks is gone, like, tell me that shit afterward, because I'm not doing anything like that day, but. That must have been so hard, man, to hear that John Lennon died, bro. Just because it's just something you could never expect to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Especially a guy like that was. Like, I remember we did the Imagine review. Like, yo, people want to put me on a cross, bro. I was like, holy shit. Like,
I mean, for such a dumb reason, too.
But like, that's how like, I think just. There's so few pop acts with the longevity of the Beatles. Like, if you just, like, think about it, like, the biggest bands in the world at the time for us, when we were kids, was NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. Like, them dudes couldn't walk down the street. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then 2 years later, they were gone.
Right, that's it.
There are very few musicians at the popular level that you can legit, like, genuinely grow up with. Mm-hmm. And the Beatles is one of those bands. Like you could be a little kid. I want to hold your hand. All the way to they got more and more sophisticated, got more and more philosophical.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of like I can't imagine, man, getting that phone call or having to say that to somebody, man.
Yeah.
It just, ugh, terrible. Like, and you know, I think about this a lot. Like, this whole concept of like celebrities, and because we got to a point where like when Big died, it was terrible. But then, like, people from my block started dropping. People, like, started dying. And then I'm starting to see, I'm looking at people, like, as they're dying and all this. And, like, we got to a point where we're like, man, I don't care about those people. Like, as long as it's not our people, like, I'm good. People die every day. That's kind of, like, how we were. Obviously, once you get out of that environment, then, again, it like, becomes different. And I always go back and forth with, like, the mourning of the celebrity death. Like, why is this person's life and death more important than everybody else's?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and so, like, for years, you know, if a celebrity would die or whatever, I'd say, yeah, you know, whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think to myself, like, well, it depends. Because I hate to do it. There's some people that get famous not because of their talent or how they touch people. They just got famous because of, in my view, superficial things. They showed their body, they released a sex tape, whatever, and now they're famous because of that. And I'm being very general because I don't want to call anybody out because I respect everybody's hustle, and so that's that. But there are other people. If you look at why John Lennon was famous, I do think that there is a lot of social utility in a sort of collective mourning that doesn't happen for regular people, because this guy was essentially the voice of millions of people for decades. And so there is a sense in which, look, he's just one guy that died, but there is also a sense in which millions of people, a part of them died with that guy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And it's not,
Yeah.
like, oh, he's a star. Well, it's like, there's a lot of stars out there, but there are very few people in my experience, and we've done literally thousands of songs and had, unfortunately, many, probably hundreds of deaths of the artists that but there are very few. I can count on one hand, almost singular, on one finger, how beloved this dude is. You get Kurt Cobain, and Lennon. I mean, and I don't know if it's but again, like, Kurt was such a unique voice of a generation. You had millions of people that were identifying with this dude, and unfortunately with Cobain, it's kind of like the authenticity of what he was saying was triplicated by the fact that he did himself in. So people were like, yo, it's kind of like with rap, like, you're not a real rapper unless you're actually doing the shit that you say you were doing. So I look at Kurt Cobain and I'm like, I mean,
Lennon.
John Lennon, and I'm like, yo, millions of people died with that dude.
Yeah.
Like, he represented millions of people, and he represented the growth trajectory of millions of people. And so it's not him being celebrated or mourned to that degree doesn't detract from, quote, normal people, because that's a heavy burden to bear. Like, you become sort of this sort of container of all the pain of, like, literally millions of people. You're like the container of the pain and the hope of literally millions of people. And so that in itself is a hell of a burden. And you see sometimes that burden will kill you.
Yeah.
You know, and in that kind of situation, it ends up, you know, you kind of seal your vocation in blood to a degree. It's just, it's tough, man. It's tough to accept that somebody that meant so much to so many people
It's just gone.
can and then be gone for. I mean, I'm not really sure, because to be honest with you, I feel like the people that do these heinous acts get too much airtime, and so, like, I read it, like, when the whole thing was started with our channel, I was like, holy shit, he got assassinated. You know how obsessive I get. I started, like, looking into shit. Then I'm like, I don't give a fuck about this guy. I don't care about his reasonings. I don't care anything about, like, I don't care. Like, your mom didn't, give you a hug when you were 5, so you're going to go off and, whatever. And I get it. People get obsessed with celebrities, and it becomes this godlike thing. And, so I don't know why this guy killed John Lennon, but I feel like whatever his, like I said, I never gave him a fair hearing, but I don't care. Like, fuck that guy, bro. Honestly, like, it's frustrating thing that somebody, and it's crazy because you look at the lyrics. Like, I hate to say this, but look at this lyric. It's funny how one insect can damage so much.
That
grain.
was the line I was gonna bring up. That's so funny.
And I'm like, damn, bro,
Yeah.
like.
Because they wrote this song before those events happened.
It's a doc.
And then, so I'm actually not even clear what the song is actually about because I keep looking at it through the lens of what ended up happening.
Right.
So it all makes, the song kind of like makes sense from that standpoint. But looking at it from the start, like what did they mean when they wrote it? Mm-hmm. And was that Strawberry Gardens place in New York?
Strawberry Fields, yeah.
Oh, Strawberry Fields. Was it nice? What was it?
Yeah, I mean, I only saw it when it was dark, but yeah, I'm sure it was nice. It was just called just a section in Central Park called Strawberry Fields.
Okay. So it was just a part of it?
But well, the metaphor here is that there's a garden. The metaphor here is that there's a garden, but it's empty now.
But it was so well taken care of prior to that there's still some evidence of it.
The guy who lived here, he must have been a gardener that cared a lot, who weeded out the tares and grew a good crop, which is a very interesting. We might have had a double entendre there. Who rooted out the tares and grew a good crop. Tares could be Tares, like wheat in the tares, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have tares, Tears.
Right.
Okay. So the song was written about John's death, written in 1981.
What?
It was written about his death. So, Homeboy wrote this in 81.
So it was written...
Yeah, it's written 15 months after his death.
Okay, I'm very confused now. So, you have Elton John, who's the guy that we just saw perform it.
Right.
And Elton John wrote this in 81?
81, 82-ish, about his homie John Lennon, who had been assassinated or
and
killed.
Who did he perform this with?
This is not the song they wrote together in 1973. This is a different song.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is about him. Okay, I was like, how can you look at this from any other way but besides knowing?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But yeah, like how one insect can damage so much grain. Like, I'm generally like against like dehumanizing language, and like, but at the same time, like, he's also kind of dehumanizing Lennon when he says he could damage so much grain, but and this one's for Jambi, but Jesus compared himself to a grain, right? He says, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. Mm-hmm. But if it dies, it bears much fruit, right? And so, like, on the one hand, John Lennon, his life gardenized the world to a degree. And I believe that. Like, that's the whole thing that God set us all out to do. Like, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Subduing the earth. Part of that is music. It's taking the elemental, just the raw material. And we found ways. I was just talking to one of my famous friends about this. Like, dude, you realize you just took some wood, some nickel, some iron, some plastic, some nylon, and you guys have reached literally over 1 billion people. Mm-hmm. And we were just like, and he was talking about what we're doing now. I'm like, but like, this shit is crazy. Like how we are able to do that, where you combine just the raw materials of the earth to create a studio or whatever, combined with your experiences with musical and linguistic theory. This shit is incredible.
Yeah.
The fruitfulness of being able to do that, and then one person can take that away from everybody. It's just the craziest thing about the world that we live in, man, is that at any time, and obviously, in our day, it's a lot more, we're almost desensitized to the shit, like, I don't know how many, quote, active shooters or, 4+ fatalities or whatever, but it's a crazy thing to think about. Like, theoretically, I feel like everybody's John Lennon in their own little universe. You know what I'm saying? Like, we recently lost a dude that didn't see his own value, which it's hard to. Sometimes it's hard to see your own value as a regular person. And so he made an irreversible decision, obviously, because and there was just another. I was actually a little bit. It was like a double-edged sword, because like another guy wrote an article. They wrote an op-ed in the Sun Journal about him a couple days ago, and there were so many comments, and I was like, that actually made me feel like, damn, this is great. You're like, because a lot of times when people die over here, especially if they die of an OD or if it's self-inflicted in any way, like people like, good, another one gone, whatever. So like to see that article written again, like a couple weeks after he died, and then to see all the comments, and like the vast majority of them were like, damn, Jason, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm like, damn, I wish you could see how many people are
yeah, it's so interesting to see how many people your life affects, or his life affected, because I've known people that were extremely rich, and when they died, like, you barely had anybody show up to the funeral. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just I like it when stuff kind of like flips and you see things for more of what they are. And I think that's a good point, what you made about people not getting famous. Like, obviously people do get famous off of things that are outside of their control, what they look like, or like you said, like a scandal or a tape that gets released. But like, how many people's lives have you affected and changed people's lives and made this world a better place because of your stardom? I don't know, like, I think that's an interesting way of looking at it. And I think that it's to see that, our friend Jason, how many people, I didn't see the comment section, but from what you're saying, it sounds like it was pretty lit up. That's pretty cool. Like, just kind of makes you wonder, like, how many people would comment positively underneath, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean,
if I would have died like 5 years ago, those would have just been nothing but, like, you know what I'm saying?
I really don't think the ratio would have been different whether it had been 5 or 10 years ago, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But I'm that point is specifically for people who feel like invisible, or that they don't have an impact on people. I just think that
well, yeah, I'm saying, like, this guy was rich and he didn't affect anybody, and then here you have Jason, who didn't realize how many people he affected, but there was so many people that felt connected to him, and so many people that he brightened their day just by his existence, and how sad they were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like, sometimes for whatever reason that gets the collective consciousness to get union in here, but sometimes the collective consciousness selects a person and says, hey, you. Mm-hmm. And that's what these people become, Mm-hmm. That's why I'm saying, like, when somebody, like, and there's a sense in which, like, that person almost has to die in some horrible way. If the collective consciousness, it's kind of like, there's this thing I saw called The Lottery. It's a short story called The Lottery, basically, and it was like, whoever had the it was like people would,
Trinity, that is that a typo, or what
wife,
are we doing here?
Your wife is freaking sweet. Yeah, he's kind of making fun of me. It's all good. It's all good. I'm not stressing it. It's good. But like, yeah, man. Anyway, that's a deep song. That's a pretty deep song for song one. For sure. For sure.
Yeah, but Dustin has been doing this the last couple of streams. Like, I feel like he takes us on, like, this crazy, like, journey where we're like, what?
Yeah, but like the that Elton John, man, like he's got like a flair for the epic. But anyway,
He's
it's
good. I like the way that his voice sounded when he said garden at the end.
Yeah.
And then it makes the ending of the song make more sense now that we know he created it afterwards. Oh, that's terrible. That's so friggin' sad.
I know. But that's why I said, like, when the collective consciousness selects you, it's almost like I said. I was reading the story, the lottery, and it was basically throughout the story, like somebody gets a rock. This rock's too big. This rock's too small. Blah 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 blah. And then the person draws the rock, and he basically drew the shortest rock. And then like all the community was like, yay, like congratulating him and all this. And then like his family was like completely dejected and destroyed. And in the last paragraph, it's basically every year they have to sacrifice somebody to the gods, and then, you know, whoever ends up with the short rock or something, everybody else takes the rock and stones the guy.
Oh my gosh.
So that's the lottery. But like, there's a lot of principles you're supposed to get from that short story. But like, that's one of the principles. Like, when you see somebody like a Kurt Cobain or a Tupac, I would say, or a John Lennon, like, that person's chosen by the collective to speak for all of us. Mm-hmm. That person's almost certainly going to die or end badly.
Wow.
Because what we're all needing is too much for any single person to bear.
Yeah.
So either it's going to kill him in one way or the other. And I don't really, you know, it's crazy. It's unbelievable. Tough one. Yeah, the lottery. Yeah.
Thanks, BC.
Will knows what I'm talking about. So the moral of the story is, it's very popular right now to dislike celebrities and to dislike rich people. It's cool to do that. You know, like 3 years ago, we all loved Elon Musk. Now we hate Elon Musk, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure that John Lennon would be able to even survive in this kind of environment. Like, you have to be a completely flawless... You almost have to be Jesus to survive in this environment. So I mean, I don't even know. Like, it's probably good that he doesn't have
Jesus
to deal...
is such a funny example to bring up.
Well, yeah, because he ended up getting crucified.
Yeah, he was like literally
he
perfect.
Would absolutely get crucified again. So both sides, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna get into that one, but yeah, man, that's tough to deal with. That's tough to think about. Like, you had a dude. I don't know, man. That's the cycle of life.
Oh boy.
Okay. I'm giving this one a silent count out of respect to both Dimebag Darrell and John Lennon and all the beautiful people that we lost.
For sure.
We have a band. You might be familiar with it. I think their name is Stone Sour. They're on the way next. It's a 7 Dusted stream. Get yourself comfortable. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone. We shall return, dear listener. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
Rubbish. That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft. Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Contrable. My overly simplistic answer to that question was answered by the big homie Emily JL. I think in a really, really simplistic sense, that's the answer to that question. Okay. So,
right.
numero dos. Here we go. We've got a
Sour.
DJ in the house by the name of DJ7. You can see it right there.
He's bringing us on another musical journey that started out with sorrow.
Correct.
Stone Sour Do Me a Favor is up next. This song is part of the concept double album House of Gold and Bones.
Currently, my boy is in an undisclosed super secret location, bitches. I only roll. I only roll with the best. I only roll with the elite. Nothing wrong with you regular people, but you know. All right, go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Go ahead.
The overall concept of the albums are a mortality play about someone who is standing at a crossroad in life and trying to figure out what to do next. This song in particular is about the internal struggle. When you know that you need to figure out if you have the capacity to make the changes for the better, or if you really are the monster you feel like on the inside. Good theme. Let's do this.
This should be interesting.
Stone Sour, Do Me a Favor. I'm guessing he wanted the official watched, so I am going to play the official on the side over here, and Vinny is going to put a lyric video over there. Okay, ready?
Birthday? Is it your birthday?
When your body do me a favor, your behavior is just a reason why there is no savior. When you're wasted, let's face it, there's a side of you that knows you're a failure, lives for the danger, feels like an enemy but looks like a stranger.
And that was Stone. That was Corey Taylor from the
Yes,
band Stone
well, the
Sour.
official video is not done over here, and I want to know what happens in this zombie apocalypse against the pastor.
Now, is he both the pastor and the?
Well, he's a bad guy.
He's a bad
He's
guy.
definitely
he's
bad.
like beating himself up there.
He's beating up these poor people that made it to the church doors to get away from the zombies, and he's.
Oh boy!
I don't believe he's a nice man.
It's not to get wrapped up in this bitch.
Yikes. Okay. Wow, literally, there's still like
Yeah.
quite a bit left of that video.
Yeah, I think you're okay.
I
That's
liked it.
really
It was catchy. Yeah.
That's a catchy. I was surprised, like, you know, because I'm still used to Slipknot chorus, like, you know, like this wasn't that. This was like, it was a little poppy, almost a little bit more accessible, I think, like especially around the chorus. What'd you think he was talking about?
Well, I mean, we kind of got tipped off at the beginning when we read the intro. You know, are you really as dark as you think that you are, or is there a way for you to make your way out of it? He says, I am an anti-everything man, a scab on the lips of the Lord. And my cost, you know, I used to think when people would say, I can't go to church because if I do, the roof is going to fall in on me, or God's going to zap me or whatever. I thought that people were exaggerating. I didn't realize that people actually feel that way sometimes, that like God is that much against them that if they even tried to like obviously if somebody's going to church, they're like, all right, let me try to turn this around.
A scab on the lips of the Lord. That's a brilliant.
What did you get out of it?
That's a brilliant. I mean, a scab on the lips of the Lord. Like that's even God Himself. You know, it pains Him to even talk about you. Basically, that's pretty crazy. That's a pretty crazy lyric. My caustic dismissal is all I need to get you to fall on your sword. It's easy to live fast. It's harder to live. I woke up today with a gun. Ignoring your history is killing your past. You might run forever if death never lasts. That there's a lot to unpack in those lyrics, my guy. You might run forever if death never lasts. That's a pretty interesting way of talking about life after death, because most of the time we're talking
horrible way of thinking
most of the time we're talking about everlasting life.
Yeah.
But what he's saying is, you better hope that death lasts, because if not, you're going to be running forever.
Wow.
That's a very, very self-aware line. Like, I get so many people, like, and there's a lot, if you're a Christian or a religious person, there are a lot of vulnerabilities, philosophically speaking, if you haven't taught them through. So one of those vulnerabilities would be
something like holes that grosses me out. So I covered it.
One of those vulnerabilities is you're just making up this story because you're afraid of death.
Mm-hmm.
But what a lot of people on the other side don't consider is, what if you're purposely disbelieving the story because you're afraid of life after death? That's in play just as much as the other philosophical vulnerabilities in play. How do you know that you're just not disbelieving because you want to believe that when your TV's off, it's off? Because there's lots of people that would rather this life be all that there is. So I just thought that line was crazy. Ignoring your history is killing your past. You might run forever if death never lasts. I was listening to, I think it was Castrup, and so we were thinking about, like, we don't know the origin of consciousness. We don't know where origin, so somebody was asking, it was actually KRS-One. He said, where are you when, so he said, think of the word rock star. Mm-hmm. So everybody thought about the word rock star. And he's like, say rock star to yourself, like in your head. Don't say it out loud, but say it in your head. He goes, okay, now imagine what a rock star is and what a rock star does, right? So he goes, you heard rock star when you said it in your head, but not with your ears. You saw a rock star in your mind, but not with your eyes. So he said, so where were you when you were saying that in your head and visualizing it in your head?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Were you in your head? What side of your head? Like, that was a very, he said, wherever you are, that's where you are. And he was arguing that that's the fifth dimension. So there's 4 dimensions, you know, but and then time would be dimension 4, right? And he's saying that wherever you are, it's kind of like when you're playing a video game, right? Where are you? Well, I'm in my room. I'm not in the game. You know, I'm playing the game from my room. And what he's saying is, yeah, but where are you when you're in your room? But when you've got an entire life and world, and there's eyes and ears and all of that happening on a metaphysical level, where are you then? Because you're not in your body,
right?
You're operating your body in the same way that you're operating a video. It was very, very interesting. So it's like, what if ignoring your history is killing your past? You might run forever if death never lasts. You die and then you turn off the headset and then it's like, boom, now you're in actual reality. This is where you've been the entire time. And, you know, what you did in the game is going to dictate how you experience the real world now when the, like, real life begins. Go ahead.
No, it just makes me think of on, what is that? The Matrix. Remember when they pull the thing out and he comes, he, like, wakes up from inside that Babylon or wherever he is. He wakes up inside of there after being in those pods.
Right.
This is where you've been the whole time while you've been running around in your head.
It's interesting with Corey. Corey seems to be like always wrestling with how he affects people. Like I've listened. We've done a lot of songs, and like a lot of it is like almost a self-critical or like an internal analysis of how he affects people, particularly verbally. Like I notice that a lot with Corey. Is like he seems to be very aware that he talks about like a caustic dismissal, like like he seems to be very aware that he almost has this destructo mechanism with his relationships, you know, like where like he's gonna do something and say something that's gonna screw everything up to the point where even God is tired of him. It looks like. Do me a favor, your behavior is just a reason why there is no savior. When you're wasted, let's face it, there's a side of you that knows you're a failure. Lives with a danger, feels like an enemy, but looks like a stranger. Go ahead.
Sometimes I think that people are tired of themselves. They're tired of their mistakes, or they're tired of their same, you know, like you want to make changes, but then you're like, okay, I'm going to change on this. And then the change doesn't happen. And, but then I think because he specifically brings up, he says, when you're wasted, let's face it, there's a side of you that knows that you're a failure. And you'll see it depicted in shows or whatever, like the drunk person is crying. And, you know, I think that there's something about like, you know, whether it be, you know, alcohol or whatever it is that these people are on, but it kind of makes it so that way you start to kind of face things like maybe you don't have to hide behind your insecurities about whatever problems or whatever issues that you have, and so you just get like base level real with yourself, and then he's realizing that he's a failure from that standpoint. I don't know, like I feel like that's a really relatable thing. I feel like a lot of people have kind of been in that place where you're, you know, you see those posts that talks about like, you know, what's the worst part? The worst part isn't that you wasted so much time, but it was that you could have gotten yourself out of that dark spot way sooner. Like had you decided, you could have gotten yourself out of that dark spot.
Yeah.
But when you're stuck in it, it feels like it's the only way, and you're not necessarily going to get out. So
a lot of guys have this too. It's called imposter syndrome.
Imposter? Okay.
It's imposter syndrome. So it's like, and it doesn't matter. It's almost an irrational fear. Like, especially like the higher up you go with elite groups of people, the more that becomes a thing.
What is it?
Huh?
What is it?
Well, it's the idea that everybody around you is like the real deal, but you got there basically by mistake, or because somebody overlooked something. Like you don't feel as good as everybody else around you. Basically, is
really?
Yeah, that's imposter syndrome. So it's like I've seen it among, you know, like, yo, dude, like, you're a bad you're a bad man, and like, in unguarded moments, dudes, it's just that ranging insecurity that happens when you're comparing yourself to other people. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and the crazy thing is, most people would have more grace for somebody than they would for themselves.
Yep.
So like, if the person were to say, I'm not a good operator because I missed this, you know, whatever, you'd be like, oh no, man. I mean, everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's a real thing among people that are highly accomplished, where they feel the imposter syndrome. So on the one hand, externally, he can be have a horrible attitude because he's a rock star, right? So, you know, your caustic dismissal of people, and then it talks about your behavior is the reason there is no savior, which we'll talk about in a second. But like, externally, when you see these loud, belligerent people who are just, you know, crazy and act like they don't really care, in reality, a lot of those people are massively insecure inside. So externally, he's got this kind of caustic, I don't give a fuck attitude. Internally, he feels like he's a failure. You know what I'm saying? Like, so... And it's interesting because a lot of the things that you get celebrated for as a rock star are things that at the same time people can't stand.
Yeah.
So like the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Well, that's great. Everybody celebrates the sex, drugs, and rock and roll except your girl. If you're married, your girl doesn't like the sex, drugs, and rock and roll lifestyle.
No.
Nobody likes the drug rock style if you're one of these belligerent drunks or a belligerent...
I was gonna say, if you're on the tour bus with one of them. If
you're a belligerent drunk, or you're when you do your lines or whatever, you're like intolerable. So like, it's this weird thing with a rock star where and that how you see this a lot in the military too. Like, the thing that you get celebrated for is the thing that also makes you feel like a terrible person. So it's like, oh, look how committed this person is. They're doing back-to-back deployments, blah, 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 blah. And, oh, this person's always, you know, volunteering, and, you know, whatever. But then when you go home, it's like you're never home. So it's like the thing you're getting celebrated for is also, and it's like a major thing about like playing through pain or operating through injury. It's like, oh, wow, this guy did this on I've done it, you know. I'm like, oh, this guy did this he ran X amount of miles on a broken tibia, blah, 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 which is impossible. But, like, you like that gets celebrated. But at the same time, like, now you've got people that are permanently, like, crippled. Yeah. Like, I know so many dudes, like, back issues out the ridiculous. Ridiculous. Your body was not constructed to carry, you know, 75 pounds for 40 miles.
Right.
Like, that's great. You're a super soldier, but you're going to pay for that. And all the prep that goes into accomplishing that, like, you're going to pay for all that shit.
Yeah, no, it's true. Your body will fight you back.
So like, you get like, it's a very, very difficult... It's a very difficult thing for a lot of dudes to be able to figure, and women go through it too. It's like, oh, you'll get all this attention if you dress a certain way, but then if you dress a certain way, now you're a slut, now you're a whore. You know, so like a lot of us like are trying to parse out like the thing that you get celebrated for is also the thing that makes you feel the worst about yourself. So how do you reconcile that to being the person, your idealized self, the person that you want to be? You know, how can you be a good parent if you're doing all these tours as a rock star? I remember one time, like, Jonathan was talking about his dad, because his dad was a musician too. Jonathan from Korn.
Really?
His dad was a traveling musician, and so there's a lot of times when his dad would leave him, and he would say that he, you know, that hurt him a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the situations that put him in a position for the Daddy song to be true in the first place, because his dad was out so much. And then he goes, I'm doing shit 50 times worse than my dad. You see what I'm saying? Like, so how do you like reconcile yourself to yourself when the things that you get celebrated for are also the things that the people closest to you are saying that's hurting? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
That's a hard balance to strike. So that's why he says, let's face it, there's a side of you that knows you're a failure, lives for the danger, yada, yada, yada. And that, to me, is like the thing, is to be able to say, to not essentialize yourself. In other words, there's a difference between saying you failed here versus you're a failure.
Oh, yeah.
That's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. But what happens, especially when these dialogues, because these dialogues are so...
Yeah, but it's both. You have
go
to
ahead.
have both sides of it. Like, one is you're saying, okay, you failed. That doesn't make you you are not a failure. But I think that already, especially people in that situation, the thing that they were most celebrated for made it so they felt important because of that thing. So their value was wrapped up in it on the positive side. So if it flips or when it flips, then you're also going to be wrapped up in the failure of the thing. Like, human beings are more than what we accomplish. We're more than, who our family is and, what.
No.
Go ahead.
No, I agree. And that's the thing. You're saying that because you're assuming certain aspects of your worldview. So you believe that human beings are more than what we accomplish, et cetera, but there's a whole bunch of, there's 2,000 years of a worldview underneath that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're starting at 35 or 40 or 50 and you're trying to look at reality and all of the human experience through the lens of your 35 years, then you're going to have these traps that you fall into. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the human family since the inception and say, okay, we've learned a couple things here, and those templates for how to navigate these types of crises are built into most major religions or / philosophies. Now, obviously, from our vantage point, we believe that our religio-philosophical groundwork is the ultimate and answers everything, which a lot of this music is kind of a testing ground for that. Like, let me throw this idea.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting, yeah.
Like, for example, he says, the bell's been rung on the Titans, haha. Everybody give us some room. Your so-called set of fake morals, I can't tell the difference. Is that an excuse? The matter at hand is a matter of time. A sad little kid with broken toys. Your dogmatic license has kept you inside. What will you do when you're burning alive? That, to me, seems like his justification for breaking his own moral code is the hypocrisy of people outside of him. So, everybody, I can't tell the difference. Your so-called set of fake morals,
yeah.
I can't tell the difference. But then the question comes, is that an excuse, though?
Oh, right. Yeah.
See that?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, even if you could prove that every religious person on the planet is a hypocrite, that still doesn't justify you. Mm-hmm. It just means, in a room of 10 people, instead of one bad person in the room, namely you, there are 10 bad people in the room. That doesn't, unbadify you to point at somebody else and say, oh, you're a religious hypocrite, blah, 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 blah. Like, that doesn't justify you. And so, when he asks when he's like, is that an excuse? The fact that you can't tell the difference, is that an excuse? That's a really interesting question to ask yourself. That's a really, really interesting question to ask yourself. What excuses your behavior? It's interesting. I don't spend a lot of time in it, but we've got there's this other forum where there's atheists and Christians. It's a debate thing or whatever, and people spend years in this forum, and they're like, "Oh, I don't believe any of this nonsense." Blah 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 blah. Motherfucker, you are spending hours and days and weeks and months and years in this forum. Yeah. Obviously, there's something about religion that intrigues you, and it's not obviously in the same category to you as a tooth fairy. There are tooth fairy web pages. I've never visited with one of them. There are fairy web pages where people really believe that fairies actually exist. I've never visited one, although after reading this book from Jacques Vallée, I might.
Yeah.
I might. But the point is I love the honesty here. The fact that you can go after a religious hypocrite or a philosophical hypocrite does not let you off the hook morally at all, in any way, shape, or form. You still have to face yourself. And now he says, a sad little kid with broken toys. Your dogmatic license has kept you inside. What will you do when you're burning alive? So I don't know that line right there, if it's autobiographical when he talks about a sad little kid
That's what it felt like.
With broken toys, because now he's rich, and it's like he can get whatever he wants,
Yeah. Well, yeah, he can get whatever he wants, but what did you get from that line? Like, to me, he was talking about his inner child, and that at the end of the day, that's kind of how he feels.
Yeah. Your behavior is just a reason why there is no savior. That line right there is pretty crazy.
Yeah. That's, Jesus Freak, DC Talk.
Yep.
They had this like little discussion, like it was in the middle of a song or like in the middle of two songs or something like that. I don't know, but he basically said like, he asked the question like, what's the greatest cause of atheism in the world today? And when I was like a teenager, I was like, I have to know this answer. What is causing atheism? And then he was like,
like it's a pandemic or something.
Yeah, like what is happening? Yeah.
Did your kid get atheism? Call us at the law offices. Blah, blah,
I was glad it was so simple that DC Talk was gonna fill me in, and I was gonna be able to. Anyway, so the answer was Christians. And then they said, who profess God with their mouths but deny him by their lifestyle. This is what an unbelieving world simply finds unbelievable. Boom. And then they go on to the next.
Yeah. And I mean.
But, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I can't remember where I was going with it.
It's atheism, Corey.
Yeah, but we had just read something over here that, like, it kind of, like...
Your behavior is the reason why there's no savior.
Probably. Yeah.
So you're saying that they don't believe in a savior because of the behavior of Christians, basically.
Well, that's what they hit. That's what I found out when I was 15.
Ah, that was the answer.
Yep.
It wasn't that there were sinners suppressing the truth and unrighteousness.
No, it was Christians' fault because hypocrisy and all that.
Yeah.
It's on us. Well, I mean, I don't think that's like, I think both are true. I do think that there's lots of people that are like, you know what? But at the same time, okay, that was the part where I was going to go is that an excuse part? When he says fake morals, I can tell the difference. Is that an excuse? Like, I think about hypocrisy like a decent amount because it was brought up so much.
Right.
Like, anytime I talk to anybody, because we used to have to go, and when I was in that college I was in, we had to go like invite people to like this kids program or whatever. And at first they have to use the bathroom.
Go ahead. Orion, I need to pee. Go pee, you weirdo. Hold on, guys. Give us a second. You don't have to take him.
They both have to go.
You don't have to take him. That's fine. We'll deal with the fallout.
Should I leave this?
Yeah, just close the door. Tell Orion to take care of it. Just a brief intermission. What would be a good Corey Taylor is an atheist but does believe in something after death. He wrote a book about it. 7, what's your favorite line in this song, 7? Why did you send us this this recording?
They don't have pull-ups, so they're not gonna get the
I don't care. That's fine. Let's go.
Okay, let me tell him to go back. Hey, Orion.
I can't believe that it's actually your 50th birthday today, 7. I thought you were my age, you bum. All right. So when he was asking the question, that's what you made you think of the DC Talk thing?
Yeah, it just made me think of that because it's like, you know, the idea of hypocrisy, and it can be like that for anything. Like, it doesn't just have to be your religion, but how many times, like, in our lives do we line up with what we actually think? Or is it so much easier to just point out the flaws in everybody else instead of realizing our own inconsistencies? So, yeah, anyway.
Yeah, and you know, the guy, he just seems to be really torn because on the one side he's talking about himself, and then the other side he's lashing out at people, and I think he knows that that's not really gonna reconcile anything. It's not gonna give him any peace. to say, well, what about you? Like, that never gives anybody peace. It just gives a good time to distract. But yeah. We never got to hear the bridge outro.
No, but it's a pretty... He says, and I don't mind my old dead story, and I don't want to lie to you. I know my glory will never be the same as truth, but now my only enemy is you.
Oh, no, we had that. That was in there.
Okay. What?
I'm leaving you behind, he says. I'm leaving you behind.
So I liked this one. I liked the sound of it. I understand, like, the comment section seemed like it was a little split. Some people were like, didn't really like it, and then...
Yeah, see, Dustin loved the so-called set of fake morals, can't tell the difference, is that an excuse?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what are you doing?
What?
I swear, man, they can never just let the shit go. I'm not going to probe Seven as to why those lyrics are super, super important to you. But I get it. I completely get it. I ask myself that often. Yeah, I mean, we've had some conversations like back and forth about that. That's why whenever you ask me questions, like, I think about it for the rest of the day, because we only have those conversations like 2 or 3 times a year. Like, there's some people that are like, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? Seven will drop like some real deep thought out shit, and like once or twice a year. And he'll ask you some shit, and you're like, oh, well, you know, this is kind of like the answer, the Christian answer. And then like you're chewing on it for the next like 2 to 3 weeks after that, and they come out and all the reviews and everything, everything like that. But and if you're one of those people that text me a lot all the time, that's great too. I appreciate it too. I'm not saying that it's better. I'm just saying it's just different. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I very, very, very much like the song. It's right when my partner in crime gets back, we'll do the score. But the night is just beginning, dear listener. And if you want to know how to be a DJ, the process is very, very simple. You get 2 or 3 songs, and then hold on, guys. I got a little situation here. I'll take care of it, and then we'll be right back. Give me 1 second. We have returned.
We're back. So I liked it. Overall, I liked the song. I'm actually going to give this one an 8.9.
This is a 9.3 for me. I was very, very surprised by how much that chorus. I was thinking it was going to be a... Anytime somebody's in like 2 bands, I always feel like the second band is just going to be a knockoff of the first band. But to be honest with you, Stone Sour is a completely different band than Slipknot, in my view. And there are very few songs that can work on both sides. I think that forgot the name. There's a song that was a Slipknot song that could have been a Stone Sour song. But I don't know. These bands seem to be so like split from each other as far as the sound goes. So it's a 9.3 for me. I was extremely, extremely surprised. Very surprised. 9.3. We are coming right back, dear listener. More of the 7 stream. We got 7 songs from 7. How you feel about that, dear listener? Snuff. There it is, Snuff. Snuff is a Slipknot song that sounds like it could easily be a Stone Sour song. Good catch, Ian. Okay, we shall return. Then out.
Sorry, out.
Gone. Commercial break. We'll be right back. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord,
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
and they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
Buy merch indeed. A channel shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
American Head Charge to Be Me is up next. This is Seven Dusted talking. One of my favorite bands. This song is from an album called The Feeding. In my opinion, it's their best record. I was supposed to see them live on this tour. Tickets were bought. Mudvayne headlining with Life of Agony, AHC, and Blood Simple supporting. On the day of the show, about 10 minutes before the opening act was supposed to go on, it was announced that AHC's guitarist Brian Ottoson was found dead in his bunk on the tour bus. Show canceled, obviously. About 3 months later, Mudvayne and Blood Simple returned to make up the gig.
Holy shit. I saw that show.
The made-up one? The one that they make up? Makeup show?
I want to say it was in New Hampshire with Jamie. I remember Blood Simple, and I remember... I don't remember if it was American Head Charge or not. I remember Blood Simple. I remembered Mudvayne. That's crazy. Damn. Okay. I don't know if is Seven. Are you a Northeast guy? That would have been crazy if me and Seven were at the same show and didn't know it. That would be pretty wild. But I remember that tour because Jamie. That was at the height of his Mudvayne mania, and yeah, we went to see Mudvayne. It was the day that Tiger Woods won something. He won a Master or something like that, and I remember we saw them on a Sunday. I remember driving home with my brother, and they were talking about Tiger Woods on the thing because he had just won some Masters thing or another blah 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 blah. So so the canceled show he was in South Carolina, so we weren't at the same show, but it was basically I saw a similar show. Okay, here we go. Negative Vibes is already recognizing a theme in these songs, so this should be interesting. American Head Charge, To Be Me is the name of the song. Let's do it. Ooh, that was American Head Charge.
To Be Me. Wow.
That, I'm sort of seeing a bit of a pattern, but I'm gonna hold my thought until maybe the fourth or fifth song in.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Dwayne. A little Reznor ending. I felt like a Reznor beginning and a Reznor ending. Like Trent Reznor, The Fragile, that time period. Like 99, 2000 Trent Reznor, The Fragile. It sounded like the intro sounded that way, and then the little outro thing at the end sounded that way too. So, good pickup. Seven, did you catch that too? Did you later, Applejack? Thanks for the play-by-play. Applejack's going to take a shower, y'all. Yeah, it definitely felt Trent Reznor-ish to me, like The Fragile, the beginning and the end, for sure. Okay, go ahead. What were your thoughts? What was? Yeah.
So sonically, it was interesting because it was like kind of had that slow feel to it at first, and I was like, "Where are we going?" And then it like slowly picked up on you until it felt like it was a different song. That's how it felt to me.
Oh, I agree.
And then I was like, wait, no, that was the same song as before. The same
Especially
the beginning.
Once you hit the chorus.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that.
When he, at the beginning, when he says, have you any idea what it's like to be me? That's another concept that I like to think about, is the idea that nobody understands what it's like to be anybody else. And I don't understand what it's like to be anybody else around me, and nobody understands what it's like to be me. And the best that we can do is just to understand that we all have challenges, we all have struggles. And like I was talking to one of the kids, and I was explaining to them how I had missed on, they were having some, honestly, that particular situation was just like teen drama. And I missed recognizing that they were in a state where they needed someone to talk to them. So, because I just didn't really think it was that big of a deal, because I had already been through my teen years, and the thing that it just wasn't, to them, it felt like super significant. To me, I didn't realize how significant it still was. Well, anyway, when I was talking to them and I was explaining to them, and I was saying, look, when Orion goes outside, he's 3, goes outside and play, and he stubs his toe and it bleeds, he's gonna cry really hard. And you're a teenager now. If you stub your toe right now, you're not gonna cry. Right. You have other things that are going to bother you.
Right.
And the things that are bothering you now, when you're my age, those things are not going to seem like a thing to you, because you're going to grow up. You're going to grow a certain level of, toughness, basically, that happens over the years that kind of changes you. But one thing that is certain is that until we master a certain pain in our lives, or until we master a certain like something, like for instance, if you have somebody that always spends more money than they make, and then they never can pay their bills on time, there's always a problem with that. It causes a lot of stress and frustration. Until you learn to stop spending more than you make, you're going to keep finding yourself in that situation. When you learn that lesson, and then you say, okay, let me try to find a budget that works for me, where I can still, whatever, like, then you can eliminate that stressor and that frustration that, bills are due and you don't have the money for it. So, like, I was thinking, like, pain is like that. I think in our lives, we go through certain things, and what I'm going through that seems really big to me and really stressful or whatever, to someone else might look like that's just some small thing. Why are you even stressed out about that? But everybody is being pushed to their limit. And then once you overcome that thing, then there's another challenge beyond that you have to face. So life is full of challenges. Life is, there is a lot of pain that happens. There's a lot of frustrations. There's a lot of different things that happen. When he said, watching you succeed and move forward, all my wasted time tensing in anticipation, my thought process full grown and worthless. So when he first said it, it's kind of sounded like he was saying, like, when he watches that other person succeeding, it's really hard for him because he's kind of wants to also succeed. But then I was like, is that what he's talking about? When he said my thought process full grown and worthless, I just thought of, like, when people are adults, like, we are adults, but we're still holding on to, like, these childish ways of looking at things. But I'm not entirely sure that's what he was talking about. He said safe when nobody is in your heart now. That part was kind of crazy too, because that sounded like don't let anybody in and then nobody can hurt you.
Yeah, he says take everything.
But we were not made to do that.
Take everything you can get your hands on. Save me from this yearning yet again.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, the relationship didn't work out, obviously, whatever it was. Because it says watching you succeed and move forward, presumably without him.
Oh, this is a relationship song?
Well,
I didn't catch that.
I think the chorus gets us to a relationship song. And it doesn't necessarily
thinking
have...
it was a friendship.
A friendship is still a
Yeah,
relationship.
I know, but when
I
you
was just going to say, child to parent, friendship, those are all also relationships that can hurt people significantly and make people say things like, safe when nobody's in your heart, take everything you can get your hands on, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. So if he walks around and he's thinking, okay, this person used me, blah, 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 so now I'm going to take everything I can get my... Like, we're watching that right now. Like, we're watching a show where there's a guy, and he's kind of starts off sleazy, but he's trying to be good. But then certain situations happen in his life or whatever where he's betrayed by close family, he believes. And so because of that, he goes, okay, I'm going to be the worst person possible then. Like, and so that's such an interesting... I've never had a thought like, yo, I'm not going to let anybody into my heart, so then I'll never be hurt again. Like, I've never had that idea.
Shocked that you never did.
No, because the thing is that because we moved around so much, it made us kind of have to stick with each other, and it kind of made everybody on that outside seem superficial. So it's like, we're going to move into this other neighborhood. We're only going to be here for 6 months. So if there's an issue between my brother and you, I'm going to go with my brother. My brother could be completely wrong, but I'm going to go with him because I know he's going to be there in 7 months and you most likely are not going to be there. So it creates this sort of inside-outside type of thing to where it's like, I never had this idea that, nobody's in my heart. My family's in my heart. My mom's in my heart. And what that means is they're going to do shit to hurt you because that's just how our family was. We said shit to each other, whatever. So I always valued those kinds of relationships, but the any relationships I made outside of that circle until I really hit New York. I mean, I hate to say this, but until it got bloody, until that first serious conflict where a bunch of people were involved and we were outnumbered and dudes were standing toe to toe, that's when I was like, okay, this particular person or group of people is now inside of that concentric circle. You know what I'm saying? But again, if I look at all the lives I've intersected with and things like that, there have been so many people that have always been outside of that circle because they've never done something as extreme as that. Either been with us in our very unique upbringing. I mean, kidnappings, guns, all types of shit. That's a pretty extreme bar. And then the next bar would be, another ridiculous. It's kind of like a heuristic where it's there are very, very few people that are going to make it inside of that circle with me.
Yeah.
So I don't know about I'll probably ask, but my thought process was always, okay, the people in here are in your family or in your family. Everybody outside is completely superficial. I handle girls that way, everything. And so, to this day, people are we always have this conversation. There's one guy that's not in the circle, and he tried to come talk to me at the gym. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, bro. You know what I'm saying? So. I don't, and then you were like, what? That's what you said? You said that to him?
Because I'm used to people saying, I was thinking to myself, don't, get the fuck out of here. But I told him, whatever. But you're like, well, what's whatever? And then you find out that they actually had a small conversation with the person. Yeah. But no, you were like, seriously, that's what you really said.
No, but yeah, I don't understand that whole thing. So that line right there, it's okay, nobody's in your heart, you're safe. I don't really feel that way though. Like, I don't feel that you're safe if you're the only person in your life. Like, I don't, and the number one person that you're not safe from, I would feel like, is yourself. And if you look at the song, I had become what I always knew, I become what I always knew. Every salvageable breath choked off in fear. I am the last thing I'll ever expect from me. So when he selects all of that isolation because he wants to protect himself, safe when nobody's in your heart, nobody's there to protect him from himself. And then he starts doing things that he would have never thought that he would do. But when you're by yourself, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So, like, the song itself kind of tells the point of the parable. If you're going to be that kind of person where nobody... That's why I would much rather have an almost impossible bar gateway of entry so that I only have 2 or 3 people in that part of my being at a time. And you can kind of weed people out a lot easier that way versus having no bar of entry, letting everybody inside of your heart. And then obviously when human nature kicks in, you're going to be like, man, fuck everybody. You know, like David said, in my distress, I said all men are liars.
Yeah.
Like if you let everybody, you know, the scripture says, guard your heart, for in it are the well springs of life. So if you let everybody and their mother into the deep recesses of your heart and spill your guts and whatever to everybody, like, hell yeah, you're going to end up in this situation. But the other side of that is also extreme, which is you don't let anybody in which case you're not protected from yourself. But a lot of this has to go with what our assumptions of ourselves are. Like, do you believe that you're generally a good person and then, like, by yourself, you can parse all this stuff through and you can go through life and you don't need a single other person? That's a 100% guarantee that you're going to do something major that you would not have anticipated otherwise, because the people in our lives are there to protect us primarily from ourselves and vice versa. There's been a lot of times when my friends be like, nah, we can't do it. Crazy as hell. We're not doing that. And I'd be like, oh, you guys pussy, blah, blah, blah. They're like, yeah, all right, we'll be pussies, but we'll be living pussies. And like, get on the fucking train. We're going home, period. Like, you have to, and just regular, like, relationship stuff. And, you know, like, you got to have people in your life where you can bounce that shit off of. Otherwise, you're going to be ruined. You're going to be absolutely ruined.
I think that you're right. I just think that I can't believe you never had that thought. That's so interesting. But I think that people think that because you're not trying to hurt yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I guess some people are, but yeah, I guess. That's so interesting. Because I've thought, you would think that you would have been the one to think that, not me. But I've thought to myself, if I could just eliminate everybody from my life, then I wouldn't get hurt. But then I think to myself, well, that means this person wouldn't be there. That means that person wouldn't be there. That means that person would be there. And then when you get down to that, it's such a cold existence that it's like, okay, that can't be the way. Because I think that human beings were made for fellowship. I do think that some of us need more or less time than other people. But I definitely think that, you know, there's a reason solitary confinement is used as a way to break people, because people are not meant for that.
Yeah. And you just have to, you know, that's why I think, I hate to say it like this, but that's why I think combat sports is there's a lot of, and probably the upside of what I'm about to say doesn't cancel out the downside, but I remember, like, my first boxing coach, I was like 6-7 years old, and he said, okay, are you ready? I said, yeah, and he went, bang, hit me right in the face. Boop! Well, all that leather in my eyes. What the hell? And he goes, now we got that out of the way. He said, you're going to get hit in the face a lot. He says, if you don't like getting hit in the face and you want to cry like a little bitch. Now, he would have never been able to get away with this now. This guy's like, this is a 75-year-old white dude that got me and Junior up at like 6 in the morning.
That's the one?
Racist as hell or whatever, but you colored boys, come here. Like, he would have got totally, oh, you horrible, terrible racist.
Oh, for sure.
The guy was 75 years old. We were 2 black kids in an all-white gym. Just fucking let it go. Just listen to what I'm saying. Boom, gave me an eye jammy, bro. Like, right there. Bang. He said, you're going to get hit in the face. Okay? Now we're over that. He goes, secondly, that kid, he's not going to hit you as hard as I hit you.
Right.
After that, I was like, well,
Right.
all right. And you got to take those principles, man. Like, you know, friendship, whatever, relationships, all those things are contact sports, man. They're gonna hit you in the face, period. And if you start out with that expectation, I'm not talking about like a morbid expectation, like they're gonna do something, but like it doesn't surprise you. And for me, what I do is I just say, okay, what kinds of punches am I good with, and what kind of punches am I not good with? So somebody says, your breath stinks, I hate you, blah blah blah. Would you shut the fuck up? Why are you so opinionated? All that shit is inbound for me. Betrayal, it's over. Lying, it's like I'm out. See ya. Like, so I have certain things where I'm like, okay, this person's out. But it doesn't mean that I think they're a bad person. It just means this is the amount that I'm willing. These are the kind of shots. It's just like in boxing. Like, you can't hit somebody in the junk. You can't rear naked choke people. We're boxing. Okay?
Right.
If this is UFC, fine. But in UFC, you still can't poke people in the eye. You can't hit people in the nuts. So you just have to understand, like, relationships are all contact sports. You just have to determine what the rules are beforehand. And so once I see somebody that's, like, disloyal, like, they're out. There's no, like, they're out. So, but again, like, that's to me where I'm like, okay. But there are other things where, you know, people yell, scream. Like, I've got a channel right now, and like, there's this one guy that like says nothing but negative shit about me all the time or whatever. But in my view, it's in bounds because he genuinely doesn't like me. But he's not saying anything that's not true in his mind. You see what I'm saying? Like, he's not saying like, and I consider the guy a friend, but it's a very acerbic relationship. But I don't think that it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not somebody I'm going to call. You know, I'll call up 7 if I got a problem. I got people I could call. You know what I'm saying? I got people like, you know, he was hitting me up a couple like weeks ago. 7 was, and so like I have people like that. So I don't need that guy to be that. Mm-hmm. So if he's pissed off at me, he's letting me know. Like, I trust him though. I trust him more than I trust more people, because that guy will just say like, man, fuck you, you idiot, ignorant piece. You know, like that stuff, like, I'm all the way good with. But like the minute I get lied to, or the minute I see some sort of like disloyalty or whatever like that, like, I'm out. But that's my personal, you know, those are my personal fences. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I've been managing it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's kind of how I've been managing it. What do you give this song?
A 9.4. I like this one.
Yeah, I really, really like this song too. Like, you know, sometimes I look at bands and I'm like, damn, why didn't I give them a shot? And this is one of them, because American Head Charge, there was a song they did on the Lynn Strait tribute record, which I played like on repeat over and over again. I just never like took the time to get into them, but I loved that song. It was a really, really good song. Okay, guys, it is 7 Dusted's birthday today. If you didn't know, if you don't know,
happy birthday!
Now you know. It's also his birthday in the associating with the United States military, among other things, organizations. So happy freaking birthday! Thank you for your service. You know I mean that like on a bunch of different levels, my guy. Stay with it, everybody. We're coming right back. Another one on the way. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone. Okay, guys, we are coming right back. Oh, we got Revo in the house. The day is complete. We got MJ in the house. Revo, we good. Commercial break. We'll be right back. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch. Buy our merch indeed. And a child shall lead them to buy our merch. Oh, the 7 Dusted stream. I just ran down to throw a chicken in the oven. How very regular of me. Clint Lowry's Hello Demons Meet Skeletons. I'll keep this short. I guess that's the whole name of it. It's pretty long. Unless I'm reading something wrong there.
What happened?
I'm out of breath. Clint Lowry's Hello Demons Meet Skeletons? Is this 2 bands doing something together?
From 7 Dust?
I'll keep this short. I don't know.
Clint Lowry is dude from 7 Dust. He's like a guitarist, I think.
Oh, okay. This is part of an acoustic collection of songs that Clint did after leaving 7 Dust and the Disillusion of Dark Nude Day. I believe some of this was recorded on a day while he was touring guitarist for Korn. Oh. Filling in during Brian's absence. This is my favorite song of the 2 Hello Demon Meet Skeletons EPS. What's that supposed to be?
What? EPs. Demons Meet Skeleton EPs.
What's an EP? That's the question. Want some water? I find it seems to capture my internal struggle pretty well. Oh, okay. Clint Lowry's Hello Demons Meet Skeletons. I'll keep this short. Let's go.
All right, ladies and germs. I used to think that was such a sly little thing. Ladies and germs, I'll keep this short. Clinton Lowry.
All right.
Let's do it. Let's go.
So I'll keep this pretty short and let you know the war in me has quieted to a roar. You know that's huge from where I was, but still I crave the sympathy we all desire, the full attention of the choir, the selfish part of me and the liar. And woe is me, I'm down to nothing. I've given up, I'm done here, goodbye. And woe is me, I'm no good for anything, but a part of me believes that's a lie. Today I'm kind of sane, the kind of day that could go either way. Head for darkness or the welcome on parade. I guess that's up to me for now. I'll sit right here and wait, thinking I could save the day, but the darkest hour never came your way. And woe is me, I'm down to nothing. I've given up, I'm done here, goodbye.
Nope, I did not want that one to end.
Okay, what do you got?
I like that one. I liked the way that his voice was, I guess. I liked it. I liked the way that it made, like, internally how it felt. It just felt kind of smooth, and it was kind of... I like songs that kind of sit there and just kind of, like, force you to...
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I was expecting the...
Yeah, I was expecting to blow up there, too, yeah. But I appreciate not having it.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty brave to do. I don't know, like, what other songs this band does, but, I mean, Seven Dust is a pretty heavy band. And as a guitarist, it's even, like... It's hard to play a certain style, like, all your life and then, like, switch it. But I think that's a lot of the reasons a lot of these guys jump into... side bands, because you just can't do a song like this all the time on Seven Dust. Like, you're waiting for the big guitar sound and all.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done a couple songs where it's like Angel Sun and things like that. So I don't know, but this is kind of like in like a note form almost. I'll keep it short and let you know that the war in me has quieted to a roar. You know that's huge from where I was, but I still crave the sympathy we all desire, the full attention of the choir, the selfish part of me, and the liar. That's a pretty self-aware opening burst, man. Especially for a man to say. Still I crave the sympathy we all desire.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good that he's got like that kind of awareness. That's pretty crazy. The full attention of the choir, like that's pretty crazy that a dude would say that. But go ahead. What are you thinking about?
Well, I can't share everything I'm thinking about, but I thought that the part where he said, "And woe is me, I'm down to nothing. I've given up. I'm done here. Goodbye. And woe is me, I'm no good for anything." But a part of me believes that's a lie. Mm-hmm. You know, like sometimes, like on your best day, there's like that negative voice that just brings in all of this, like, well, this could happen or this could happen, or kind of reminds you of failures of the past, or reminds you of people maybe that were unkind in the past, that kind of, you know, went after you for one reason or another. Maybe it was your parents, maybe it was a friend, who knows, you know, there's so many different situations. But when he said a part of me believes that's a lie, you kind of get put in this situation where you have to make a decision whether or not you're going to believe the overwhelming part of you that thinks that, or you're going to believe that smaller part of you that's saying that's a lie. But I think that when you're in situations like that, it kind of feels like that you don't have very long before the part of you that says, oh, that's a lie, you can't hear that part anymore. So when you're kind of in that state where it's like you're like completely negative, you're completely down on yourself, and just feel like it's just completely over, you're not good for anything, but then you hear that little voice that says, well, no, that can't be true. Grab onto that voice and listen and hold on to that, because it will that will go, and then you'll just kind of be left with like the depression and darkness that you were sitting in before. That's what I found anyway. You know, just hold on to that. But I thought it was really brave of him to kind of put all that out there and to say, like he says, like you said, he's a man saying, I need sympathy. And it's also, you know, he's also saying he's down to nothing. He's not good for anything.
And he wants attention. Mm-hmm. You know, the full attention of the choir, which is, it's hard for dudes to admit that they need sympathy and attention. But, I mean, it's interesting, too. He says the war within is quieted to a roar.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's, that itself is about 3 hours worth of content to just break down that line. Because if you think about it, a roar is still pretty loud. Actually, Bernardo Kastrup, the big philosopher guy that I've been listening to, he almost killed himself a couple of years ago because he's got like this tinnitus. So it's like ringing in his ears. And he couldn't get any like rest or respite from it. So he was about to do himself in like a couple of years ago. Like, that's how bad it was. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like, it's so crazy to me how there's so many things in life, you know, Jonathan Edwards talked about it. Like, human beings walk around like they're like almost demigods, and then Edward's, but you can be dispatched by a spider,
Right.
or an adder, a serpent, a snake. Like there are. It's the paradox of human beings. Is like, we're at the gym, and like you're seeing people do these incredible feats of. We saw this kid. He was like 5, like he's shorter than me. I mean, he's significantly shorter than me, and he did what, like 375? Was it 400? It was ridiculous.
I thought it was 395.
Yeah, and like the entire gym is like around, like kind of like watching to see if this kid is gonna be able to get it over. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he's a really small guy, like doing these amazing feats, and like as that kid was doing that, the same day, at the same time, that was when the guy had his teeth went right through went through his lips, because he was lifting at like 100 pounds lighter, and so it was just like that crazy contrast of like this small kid is doing this incredible feat. Here's this tall big kid who, in my view, should have been able to handle that type of weight. And so many things can completely change your life. And he says it here, like when one move can change the plans we've made. One word can bring me to my knees. So much I've seen when I'm awake for long enough. Mm-hmm. Like there's certain people, like when you have those, when you have those occupations, and when you see certain things, like you understand the brevity of life.
Yeah, I bet.
And the fragility of life, and how quickly things can like change forever. Like guy takes a wrong turn, and like 5 families are like completely effaced forever. Like, so
yeah, I remember years ago you told me that story about like some kid that was like, I don't know, like some 9-year-old kids that killed another kid. Like they were 9 or something, and they killed another, and like that, the idea that human beings, like something could be that horrible and it could change like drastically. Like you don't think when your kids go out to play in the woods with other kids their age that there's a possibility those kids could kill them. You know what I mean? Like, so when you think, like stuff can just, when I think about that story, I think about how stuff can like just change really fast, and that's like never going back. It's never going to be the same.
And that's the thing. It's like, Clint struggled with alcoholism. So think about that line where he says, one move can change the plans we've made. One word can bring me to my knees. Like, that like particularly, we've worked a lot with substance abuse folks, but it's fentanyl. And obviously we know fentanyl will kill you. But I feel like alcoholism to a degree is almost tougher to kick than that stuff, because there's no social stigma. There's a social stigma about being an alcoholic. Right. But there's no social stigma going out, getting stuff, where the party at, blah, blah, blah. Like, there is a social stigma around fentanyl. And so because of that, it's harder to procure. It's so, there's like a bar on every corner. Everywhere you go, there's a commercial for that. Every bodega or little side shop, mom and pop shop is going to have something. Like, you can't go to Cumberland Farms and be like, yo, can I get some fentanyl? Like, you can. So it takes so much more discipline. Yeah. To overcome alcoholism, and in my view, there are so many more traps. To
as far as how many times it's going to pop up in your day.
Well, like you get in a bad fight with your wife, and it's like, dude, all you have to do is jump in your car for 30 seconds, and you can get relief from that problem. Because the shit is right around the corner. Whereas it's not like that with, it's not like that. Like, you got to set shit up, and you got to set up scores, and you got to, whatever. And it's a pretty fucking expensive habit, like to the degree that these people need it. So I just feel like that. Obviously, we got love for everybody that can overcome anything, but smoking and alcoholism, man, that's a. And I could just imagine like living with that fear, like not being able to trust yourself, and then living with that fear that at any moment you might get set off and jump in the car and quote fall off the wagon, whatever that is. Like that must be
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
That must be a very terrifying experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, like if you get off fentanyl or whatever, you get off heroin, like, you could just say to yourself, this entire section of neighborhood and these people, if I cut them out of my life, and like, that's what we did. We had homegirl, she almost died. We shipped her off to a different city.
Right.
And her being able to keep distance from those people were critical because those were the chains of supply.
Yep.
And obviously, if she wants to destroy herself, she can make new chains of supply, but she's giving herself a fighting chance. But if it's alcoholism, forget it.
I think also, like, I remember we were watching a show and it was surrounding a certain type of drug. And so you saw the drug a lot during the show, and I thought to myself, wow, for people who have used that drug, like the way that they would show the drug, like I've never tried the drug that they were showing, but it looked like, wow, that looks very good.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
very exotic.
and so then you're thinking, well, if you had a previous issue with that, I asked you, I'm like, I wonder if somebody had a previous issue with that, if this would be very difficult for them to watch this scene as they're like, but then you think about all the shows that have alcohol in it. Like, there's a lot of shows that brings up alcohol. People are drinking here, drinking there. So yeah, like there's like probably no escape from it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we're watching a show right now, and it's these lawyers, and you know, when they want to celebrate or when they've had a hard time, they'll sit and take a sip of scotch. They're not rolling. They're not like doing lines of heroin or injecting.
Yeah.
It. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It would just be like, so it's just so much more difficult. So much more difficult for people who are, I know, I saw. I'm purposely not engaging because people will do some sort of spoiler. But like, that must be such a difficult, and it's interesting, he said, woe is me. Like, these are all the things that, like, you know, we had the toxic masculinity conversation a couple of years ago, but like, these are all things that men are not supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Like, woe is me and all this. And obviously there's always wisdom in balance, but there are times when a person should say that woe is me is valid, in my view. I personally look upon that attitude. I don't look at it morally within myself. I look at it functionally, and I go, okay, in my life, whenever I've had that attitude, has it helped me get out of a situation, or has it helped me get what I need or whatever? And the answer 99 out of 100 times is no. But so just because saying woe is me doesn't have necessarily a function that I that I want, I generally stay. It's like one of my personal codes: never feel sorry for yourself. But simultaneous to that, you have to challenge it and say, yeah, but if you were surrounded in an environment where you felt like you had support, like we've gone through, you've been through so many drills where it's like, if you're hurt, you need to let people know that you're hurt and the extent of the whatever in real time. That's very, very important. Like, so there's certain rules. It's like, okay, if you get physically contacted here, you need to be very vocal and you need to be very expressive if you can, because obviously, if you're conscious if your buddy's communicating where he's hit, blah blah blah, how bad, yada yada yada, that means he's conscious. That means he's lucid. So the folks that are doing that are already checking off boxes. But you know, it's very, so it's like, okay, so does that happens in the physical realm, but is there a metaphysical approach for that? To say, to communicate early and often, and the degree of the severity, et cetera, isn't that also valid so people can understand, you know, how to operate around you? Yeah. Like, you know, because this stuff is kind of dynamic. Like, some days it's like completely manageable and you're completely good. Other days it's not manageable. And when it's not manageable, or when you're feeling like a consecutive series of days where it's not manageable, then wouldn't talking, you know, saying the woe is me stuff, whatever you want to call it, that would be the most, you know, it'd be the right thing to do if you have a good support system around you and people that, you know, that you can trust with that stuff. But anyway, it's a good song, extremely vulnerable to me, as far as like. For sure. That's another very, very surprising one. For sure. What'd you give it?
9.8.
This one's 9.3. 9.3. Very good song. Dear listener, we are still here. You are still here. We are coming right back. Commercial break. We shall return. Turn. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get matched down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at sori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
Rubbish. That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village. Facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed, a child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Here we go. We are, again, dealing with a stream for the big homie 7 Dusted. It is his birthday today. It is also his birthday as a public servant in the United States Armed Forces. Shout out to the big homie. You know I got much love for you, my guy. Having said that, the moment has arrived, dear listener.
Faith No More, the gentle art of making enemies. From FNM's Kings for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime album. Love the dynamic shifts in this song, and Mike Patton's voice is incredible as usual. One of my favorite songs that I've ever covered. Okay.
Oh, you've covered this joint. Okay, let's see. The gentle art of making enemies. I feel like I'm going to really love this song. Let's check it out. Go. Bass is hard.
Mistakes, it doesn't have to be like this. If you don't make a friend now, one might make you, so learn the gentle art of making enemies. Don't you look so surprised? Happy birthday, fucker! You blow that candle out, we're gonna kick you! Don't say you're not because you are! Don't say you're not because you are! It's a reason that you are! It's a reason that you are! All you need is just one more excuse. You put up one hell of a fight! You put up one hell of a fight! I wanna be your very best excuse. I never felt this much alive! I never felt this much alive! Your day has finally come, so wear the hat and do the dance and let the suit keep wearing you. This year you'll sit and take it, and you will like it. It's the gentle art of making enemies.
Gross.
Say what out. You need something wet in your mouth. You need something wet in your mouth. And all you need is just one more excuse. You put up one hell of a fight. You put up one hell of a fight. I wanna hear your very best excuse. I never felt this much alive. I never felt this much alive.
Oh no! First of all,
Oh boy.
listening to this band, yeah, I've got a friend. He's in a pretty big band, and they were gonna go on tour. They're gonna go on tour with these guys.
Okay.
But he's like, yo, don't say nothing, blah blah blah, because it was like
Well in advance.
it was in advance, and then COVID just came and destroyed it. But he was like, yo. I was like, oh, all right, cool. He's like, yo, I could set you up, get you an interview with them, maybe, blah, 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 backstage. I was like, yeah, man, whatever. He's like, what is wrong with you? Like, he's like, you idiot. He's like, don't you realize, like, this is, like, one of the most influential bands, you know, like, ever.
Yeah.
And the guy, their bassist is actually in Korn right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when we were back there chilling with B and them, like he was like right there on the other side. Remember like that dancing old lady that was in our little section? The little
Yes,
old lady,
yes,
she was dancing. That was
yes.
his mom, Dukes. That was his
Oh,
mom.
really?
Yeah, that was his mom.
Oh, okay.
So he's out there with
How
his
do
mom.
you know these things?
Cause he's talking to us. He was like literally right next to us, bro. But we were hanging out with B, so we. There was like a lot of people that was in that catering room. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I didn't know.
You didn't know any of them folks. But yeah, like this.
I was so pregnant, all I could see was food.
Oh my god, they wrote this album without a guitar player.
Hired a guy right before recording.
That is
Wow.
ridiculous. That is. But here's the thing about this guy. Like, I hear System of a Down in this song. Like, they're trying to build a prison. Like, where you have that, like, that silly, and we're gonna go, and the cadence is gonna go right along with the guitar track. Like, think about it. Wake up, put a little back
Yeah.
up. It's going, and then you have like an actual real chorus. Like, this to me is like, oh, this is where System of a Down got that little thing from. Because System of a Down has that kind of thing where it's like playful, and then it gets serious.
Yeah.
And like that's this guy.
Yes.
Like he's saying some serious shit, and then the next couple lyrics will just be like
Even
very
what he did with his
playful and
voice.
tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
it's exactly what System
Yeah.
does. Like System of Down does both of those. Like, so it's crazy to see. Like when I was listening, when we first started really listening to Sabbath, I was blown away. I'm like, oh my god, like this is where this style came from. This is where that style came from. Like that to me is why like that guy is in a completely different category. It's like because like. If you give birth to entire genres of music, like that's just crazy to me. And this dude, yeah, I agree. Mike can do both parts, unlike System of a Down. I agree with that. Like System of a Down, like they kind of do that vocal by committee. You got the main singer and then the lead guitarist. They kind of work together to kind of get that to do that sound. Okay. Yeah, because. It is challenging. Now, I haven't seen this guy do it live. We were about to see it live, and then COVID or Dr. Fauci, whoever you want to blame, Allah, whoever you want to blame for that. We were about to see them live, which would have been like a legendary band, like checked off. Like that's why, like he was looking at me like I was crazy.
Yeah.
Because he's like, yeah, man, I'm gonna get y'all an interview. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Blah blah blah.
That's nice.
And I was like, but he knows me long enough to where like. He's like, yo, what's wrong with you? Like, what's wrong? He's like, yo, y'all fighting? I was like, We probably were. I was like, yeah, Faith No More, they're cool. Whatever. He's like, what? You're an idiot. I'm just glad that he didn't bring that up there because dude in the band is like right there. That would have been pretty bad because he brought up that text that I sent him about the baby. So this to me is just like one of those moments. Like, don't look so surprised. Happy birthday, fucker. You blow that candle out, we're gonna kick you. We're gonna kick you. Like, again, like, it's just funny. It's kind of like tongue in cheek. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like Loki, Loki, the mischievous. But then like he goes into like a real chorus. Don't say you're not because you are. Yada yada. Anyway, I was just having a moment because I'm like, yo, damn, this is where System of a Down got that sound from. And I'm not disrespecting System of a Down. Like, everybody's influenced by everybody else. I'm just saying, like, this is like the common ancestor of bands like System of a Down. Like, this is where it started. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying people like, oh, if you say that you were influenced by somebody, you're not. No, the System of a Down is a great band in their own right. I'm not saying anything against System. I'm just saying that you had a song like this written like decades and decades before those guys came out, and it's clear that they were a massively influential band. Yeah. Okay, what did you think the song was about?
You're gonna have to say what, because I honestly at first it made sense to me. I thought that we were talking about, like basically he says, if you don't make a friend now, one might make you, so learn the gentle art of making enemies. Like, it almost seemed like he was saying, don't get too close to people. Like, always be able to have that escape hatch is what it kind of seemed like to me. Mm-hmm. But then, like, when he went into the happy birthday part, and then when he went into the whole part, there was just, I got lost. I was like, what are we talking about? Why is he saying these things?
Yeah, I deserve a reward. I deserve a reward. Oh my God. There's always an easy way out. That line is just crazy. If I tighten up my blank, you may never see the light again. That's like the disgusting lyric and horrible, but it's just such a brilliant line.
I guess I don't get it. Why is it brilliant?
Well, because you'll never see the light again. That means that your head is up the guy's ass. Like, so, you know what I'm saying? Like, so deeply that, like, like, if he were to do that, then you'd never, that's how much, like, it's just a very poetic, disgusting way of saying, like, get off my ass type of thing.
Okay, so it still didn't make sense. All of a sudden, like, it took like a twist, and I'm like, wait, now this song is sexual? What happened?
The tunnel by which he was seeing through the light, that means he's really up the guy's bum. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm uncomfortable. I want to go to the next stand. Let's go to the next stanza. It's just making me fucking uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, there you have it.
All you need is just one more excuse. Well, I want to hear your very best excuse. I've never felt this much alive. Maybe this is him talking about how when he's finally like made enemies with the person, and you finally get to tell him how you actually feel about him.
Yeah, and there's like some relationships where it's like there's just so much conflict. It's so toxic that I think that when you say goodbye to those people, then you probably would feel like that. I never felt this much alive. Like, all those problems, like, have you ever been around people like that where you're like, oh no, this person again? And then when you were completely done with that person, like, you were like relieved?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a person.
I never felt this much alive.
There's a person on this channel. They're like, I'm like, please go. Thank God. I was tolerating you because you were a package deal with this person, but now this person's not around anymore. Get the that was a relief. But my virtual self is a little bit different than my because in person, people that know that I don't like them generally don't. They're not around me because I don't save that shit up like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
People know, like, when I piece them out and I say, okay, like, people could pretty much know. Mm-hmm. I think that guy was like, oh, it's been whatever, so I can talk. We'll talk and be cool and give a fist bump or whatever. I don't know, but like, I just think some of this is just cultural. Like, because in New York City, there's not a lot of that shit. There's not a lot of like secret beef. Like, oh, I don't really like this person. And, like, that's not how it is. At least when we were coming up.
I do think it's a cultural thing because the way that, well, I don't know. I mean, it's not like I know a whole lot of, I mostly just know white people from Maine. And that is how we handle situations. You know, you're not going to invite the person over necessarily for dinner, but you're still going to be cordial to them when you see them in public.
Well, I'll be cordial too. Just don't, like, I didn't say a word to the dude.
No, you just say hi and everybody highs and bye and you keep walking.
No, I'm not going to say hi and bye.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's definitely a difference. Like, if you have an issue with someone, you do make it clear that there's a problem.
Yeah.
Where I'm not like that. I'll have a problem and I'm keeping it internal, and then all of a sudden I'll have like a blow up point where I'm like, what the fuck?
It's like, you know, the words are so familiar. All the same greats, the same mistakes. It doesn't have to be like this. If you don't make a friend now, one might make you. So learn the gentle art of making enemies. So again, this seems to be one of those, like, get them before they get you type of situation based on
and
bunch of previous experience. Don't
maybe
you look
it has
so
to
surprised?
Maybe it has to do too with people that take advantage of other people. You know what I mean? Like, if you have friends and then the friend is always taking advantage of you, where if you guys are just like subtle enemies, then you don't have to have that. But please note,
it says happy birthday, fucker. And today is Seven's birthday.
I know, that's why I laughed when that part.
So happy birthday, bitch.
I was like, why are you saying happy birthday to yourself? Don't talk to yourself like that, Seven.
But look at it. Don't you look so surprised? Usually, like, on your birthday, like, the surprise is good. You know what I'm saying? But here it's like, don't you look so surprised. Happy birthday, fucker. You blow that candle out, we're going to kick you. Kick you. Like, these are your friends, but they're not really your friends.
Oh, right. Yeah, because...
Don't say you're not, because you are. History tells us that you are. Oh, that's a good lie. Don't deny it because you did it in the past. That means you're doing it now. I mean, that's not necessarily true. Just because somebody was some way in the past doesn't mean they're going to be like that at present.
Well, I agree with that.
So, well, yeah,
I agree
with that. You agree with that in the other direction, though. Sometimes
I agree that people are not always going to be the same.
Yeah, I mean, that's demonstrably true. Yeah, so this looks like another relationship song that went a bit sour.
Yeah. I was not a very big fan of this one. This is like a 7 for me.
What? How dare you?
Listen, 5 is average, so
this is a 9.5 for me. It's
2 points above.
It's actually my favorite song of the night so far, to be honest with you. I really, really enjoyed the song. What? That surprised you? Did I like this song that much?
Yeah, I mean, really, to be honest with you, I thought that the whole part was going to just throw you off for the rest of the night.
That's the text he gets from his brother this morning. Happy birthday, fucker. It's almost over, no. It's almost over. Okay, guys, we are coming right back.
Wait, what did you give it?
I gave it a 9.5. My favorite song of the night so far.
Okay. All right.
We got relationship issues tonight with the band. For sure.
Oh, no.
There you are, dear listener. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Go. Random person 5185. No, you're not that late. You're just in time for this great piece of cinematic mastery. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at sori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
Rubbish. That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them to buy our merch. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. We are in the midst. As you can see right there, the big homie Seven Dusted has brought us some heavy metal goodness. But it's not just heavy metal, dear listener. We've had... what do you call it? We've had the big homie Elton John. We've had American Head Charge, which is some new metal. We've had Clint Lowry. I think Demon Meets Ghost or something like that was the name of their band. Whatever. We've had a lot of things. This has been a very eclectic show, dear listener. And it's going to get even more eclectic.
Yes.
This is Flotsam and Jetsam. What's the name of this song?
Poets Tell.
Go ahead.
This is the write-up from Seven. My favorite song from my favorite Flotsam record, Flotsam, Drift. Such an overlooked and underrated album. It even was taken out of print for about 15 years. Wow. Finally seeing it again, if only in digital formats. This song is something most of us can relate to. Anyone who ever had a friend that just didn't know when to say enough is enough. Oh boy. Okay.
All right. Well, having said that, let's do it. Poets Tell, Flotsam and Jetsam, Seven Dusted Stream. Let's do this shit. Sounds dark. Sounds dark there, listener.
How you wear your skin so hard and breathe that turpentine. You're not only hurting some, but I feel like what it seems. You thought you'd die when you heard goodbye and sank your dreams. You're just confused like the rest of us about your next meal. With mistakes everywhere for the whole world to feel. It comes around once more, get drunk again before we go. I wish I heard his last dying words. My train of thought gets slow. I stole the money I need. Why I'll never even know. You need prayer more than anyone I ever knew. But save a prayer for later to get a drink or two. Remember when we all said that we could stop anytime? Poets tell how God fell through his last dying words. Last dying words.
Love that solo.
My train of thought gets slow. Why I'll never even know. You need prayer more than anyone I ever knew. But save a prayer for later to get a drink.
Yo, first of all, that riff, what key was that? Was that like in C? Hold on. That riff like the riff they did was pretty common, but the key in which they played it was different, and it just it's like I've heard that groove, I've heard that progression, but I haven't heard it in that key. And then when you put that dude's vocals on top of it, it just sounds something like completely different, but familiar at the same time. That riff was just hard as fuck.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
I struggle with like trusting an open chord thing to like be heavy. So like, you know, when you're playing open and like that's all open, you know, like the chug-a-lug stuff. Like, I have a very hard time like trusting the open shit to check. Yo, trust me, it'll carry, it'll be heavy. Because I play a lot of times like without a drummer, without the backdrop in my head. Like that's one of the things that sucks, having your drummer be in, where is it, Yugoslavia, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like I have to come up with shit like, oh no, that's not heavy. Well, yeah, by itself, but if you put drums and shit behind it, it would probably be cool. So like they play it. That was a lot of open chord shit that just stayed heavy through the whole song. I just love that a lot. We haven't listened to a lot of these guys.
No, we haven't.
Flotsam and Jetsam.
When he said at the end, anyone who ever had a friend that just didn't know when to say enough is enough, for some reason I was thinking that was like when a friendship should end and you should say enough is enough, but you keep staying with that person as a friend. Wasn't like realizing that when the song started, I was like, oh, enough is enough, as in they won't stop what's killing them. Ugh, I hate those situations.
Yeah, but like, it's interesting because the previous songs was about like enemies, like the gentle art of making enemies, when it really should be about the gentle art of making friends. So it looks like another kind of relationship song, only this one is like, it's a hard balance, especially with dudes, man, because like you hit a certain point, like you're a man, like you're not gonna tell another man like what to do with his life all the time. Like there's that one video where the dude was like a drunk driver or whatever, and he was gonna drive drunk.
Yeah.
And his boy was like, "Yo, you can't drive drunk. You can't drive drunk."
Right, yeah.
And then the dude was just belligerent, not listening. And then the shit was getting recorded. He's like, "Listen, man, when you see this shit tomorrow, it's because I loved you, nigga."
Right.
And then he punches him. And he puts him in the rear.
And he was saying, I'm pretty sure when he was doing that, he was saying, "This is because I love you." Or
I love you, nigga. We good, bro. I love you, but you know, blah.
Yeah.
And like, okay, that works for that moment. But if you have to do that every single weekend, that's what this song is dealing with. Like, at some point, like, you know, there is it. You know, it comes out in the TV shows we watch where there's just some people that seem to have just that flaw, that personality flaw that they just can't. It just constantly comes back in the weirdest moments, when shit is going really good for them, and then they have that self-destructo button, you know? And like, we're watching it in the show, it's like, I know when something crazy is going to happen because everything is good. So once like the character goes for a goal and there's a little obstacle and they jump the obstacle and it's like, okay, boom, they're in good shape now, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, something's going to happen. Because that's what I've been saying the whole show. How does he fuck up this? How does he fuck up that?
Yeah.
Like, because I could just, you just have that guy, and he's got that Achilles heel, you know.
Yeah. Remember that movie we went to the movie theater to watch, and you were like, the guy is going to die in the end. Of course, 100%. You can't say what it is now, but
yeah.
But it was the same. That one really gave me that feel. It was like every time.
Every single time, yeah. And there's just some people, man. They're like, think about it. Living on your own again. What's going to keep you clean this time? But how you wear your skin so hard and breathe that turpentine. But you're not her only hurting. You're not her only hurting son, but her favorite one.
Living. Mine says living. You're not her only living son, but her favorite one, it seems.
You're not her only hurting son. But her favorite one, it seems. You thought you'd die when you say goodbye and sank your dreams. You're just confused like the rest of us. See, that to me.
The hurting makes more
living
sense.
Living could work, but hurting could also work.
Yep, especially with that.
And if you look, but your mom's favorite, obviously. But I'm not sure that guy's mom's favorite. It's just the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah.
And you know, there's some times when it's just like, look, this is a person that's the emergency, and so they're going to get the lion's share of the attention. But what ends up happening, especially with moms, I hate to say it, but moms end up enabling a lot of times bad behavior. So it looks to me like mom was enabling this dude, and the brothers or maybe the friends close to them have some resentment towards her as well, to a degree. You're not her only hurting son, but her favorite one, it seems. And you know, like we've had conversations with people where it's like, you know, we're gonna drop your son off at rehab, and then the guy who runs the rehab will say he's gonna call you in a week or a month and tell you to come get him, and then they'll say don't do it. He'll tell the parents, like, I can't tell you how many funerals I've gone to, because the mom, you know, they call up Mom Dukes, and mom gets in the car, and there's nothing wrong with moms. Like we had this conversation a bunch. Like, you're supposed to be the feely one. The what about their feelings? Blah blah blah. Like, that's your role, and you can do that on 10 because I'm here, so I can balance you out. But a lot of these situations with these guys, mom is ruling the roost, and there's no male energy to counteract that shit. So mom is worried about how he feels, and he can always manipulate her, and there's all this weird Oedipal shit happening, and it's just a terrible situation because deep down sometimes the mom wants the kid to be completely dependent on her and not be a functional human being so that she'll always be in his life. So I mean, we've seen that in other contexts with the enabling mom who, you know, babies a dude to death so that he can't really truly function as an actual grown man. So when he's got his own grown man challenges to deal with, he can't function. So then when you go out into the world and you make friends, especially with dudes, like, dudes aren't like that. Like, we're not going to sit here and enable this shit, like, forever. So, like, you got a friend that doesn't know when to quit or whatever. Like, you love him, but at the end of the day, it's like, here you go, living on your own again. What's going to keep you clean this time? Like, what's going on?
Yep.
And you can decide whether that's a friend or an enemy to you. You know, as the scripture says, the wounds of a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. So in this scenario, it's probably his friends who are actually the ones that are giving him the wounds that he needs, but he's still got Mom Dukes to multiply kisses to offset all that shit, so that she can come in and then tell him about his... See, that's where the self-pity thing doesn't work, right? So in like 2 songs before, Clint is admitting a lot of things about himself, but he's saying, woe is me. But it's he's saying woe is me in the context of, there are things that I did to fuck up my own life, and now those things are beyond my strength to bear. Okay, well, if you say woe is me in that context, great. But this context where you have, you know, Mom Dukes, and she'll buy everything for you, or she'll give a sympathetic ear to your bullshit. Your friends, your real friends, are gonna say, man, get out of here with that, bro. Like, oh, you're by yourself again. Who are you gonna, you know? And it might appear like, oh, these guys are being absolute jerks or kicking the guy when he's down. Like, that may be true, but what's actually probably going on most of the time is the friends are giving them the type of energy that a dude needs. Like, dudes need that kind of energy. You know, especially if you've got a big mom figure in the house that's been, you know, petting you your whole life. You need some masculine energy. And a lot of times, like, dudes feel bad about that. Like, oh, I'm abandoning my friend or whatever. But it's like, you got your own family, you got your own life. You're gonna let your love for this dude drag you down with everybody else. Like, you got your own problems. You know what I'm saying? So if you're, and the other thing too is, like, this is why, again, like, combat and team sports are so important. It's like, you realize how your actions affect your little inner group. And so a lot of those people, like, they don't get it. They don't get how their actions are affecting the group as a whole. And then because of that, they start feeling like you're going after them, when in reality, they just don't want to see you destroy yourself. Because here, it comes around once more. Get drunk again before you go. I wish I'd heard his last dying words. Like, and it's like boom, like this person's gone now. And then you know, as a friend, you're always thinking to yourself, okay, you know, what could I have done? Blah 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 blah. But you know, at the end of the day, everybody makes their own decisions. So now, you know, and it's crazy because you know it talks about a poet's tell. I think is the name of the title of the song. And,
Poet's Tell.
And it's like, this is a guy who was probably artistically inclined. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Remember when we all said that we could stop at any time? Poets tell how gods fell through his last dying words, right? There it is right there. The poets tell how the gods fell.
Wow.
So I think that might even be a meta line because he wrote the song.
Yeah.
And so he's mourning the death of his friend who is kind of like a god. So he, as the poet, is telling how this particular god fell. Or it could also be ironic, as in like he was an artist himself. Maybe this guy was in the band. Maybe this guy was in another band or whatever, and had a serious drug problem and succumbed to it. And so like, you were this great poet, and you know it's our job to tell how the gods fell. And sure enough, you're, you know, but people with
the first one,
people who are like artistically inclined are vulnerable to those kinds of to that kind of an issue, because as an artistic person, you're not as rooted in just cold logic and cognition. You know, think about art. Art is like something is going on inside of me, and I want to express it in sound or word or on a canvas. There's this deep
or movement.
There's this or dancing, right? There's this deep desire to express oneself as an artist, which means that you're really more rooted in how you feel than how you think. And because that's the makeup of an artist, that they're first feelers and then thinkers, it leaves them vulnerable to things like drugs and things like that will give you a certain kind of feeling, right? So if you're a feeling oriented person sense. And everything is about touching your feelings and expressing them to the best of your ability or to the most creative way possible, then obviously you're going to be susceptible to substances that intensify certain kinds of feelings.
Yep.
And so
that makes sense.
Artists are generally vulnerable to that kind of, but there's lots of people that like fall into that category. Like I have a family member who, he said something so fascinating to me. He said he was in a pretty challenging selection course. He was calling me for some encouragement or whatever. And I started asking him about his bunkmates or whatever, just to, you know, and he was talking about this guy, and the guy that he was bunkmates with was, you know, pretty elite, you know, like top of the top of the top of the top, right? Okay. And so my brother was saying, yeah, so he was explaining, the guy was a sniper. He was like, so my brother's like, yeah, he was explaining to me the art form and all this. And I'm like, sniper? Art form? Like, what are you talking about? But then I thought to myself, like, there is a certain kind of artistry to it.
Oh, I'm sure.
There is a kind of artistry to soldier. There is. And there is, it's weird, like that need for adrenaline, expression, especially dudes that sign up for combat MOSs, like there's that almost like addiction to the adrenaline rush. And so there is a sense in which like that kind of archetype of the artist who then struggles with drugs, you know, it's like, oh, these guys come back from Vietnam and they're on drugs because the public didn't accept them. It's like, yeah, that's probably true, but it's also probably true that people who are inclined toward those kinds of because that's not natural. Like, oh, I want to sign up and go and like put my life on the line. That means that you're not a cognition first person. Like, we've got a person in the house that's cognition first, and it's like, why would I do that? I could be harmed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a lot of like templates where this is true. Like, you have somebody that's a genius and somebody that can manage themselves in some pretty, you know, crazy situations, but to them it's an art form to a degree. And then when they're out of that theater, then it's like, well, what do I have that's going to give me that feeling again? And so, yeah, well, go to hard drugs. Because that'll give you that. So that's what I'm saying. Like the template between an artist and a soldier is still pretty. They're actually a lot more closely linked than people would think. If you just think about.
That's so interesting.
How tapped in these people are. Those, you know.
Because when you think of art, you think of like creation, and when you think of, you know.
Yeah.
You think of destruction. So it's like, really, it's an art form, but yeah, I see what you're saying, kind of.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes you can look at art forms as like things that you can get progressively better at. Mm-hmm. So that's another way. But like this is a situation where like you got that friend, and they've got that. They're just bound to die, man. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like Charleston White said about King Von. Like that dude tried very hard to die.
Yeah.
And he got what he got.
Wow. Pony.
And shout out to Pony. And there's some people that for some reason just feel like that. They're not suicidal, like in the sense of like, oh, but they're just. It just makes you feel like, man, you just want to be out of here, huh? Like if you can't, it's almost like if I can't live this high or feel this good all the time, I don't want to be here anyway.
Yeah.
So like when somebody gets to that point, like I'm gonna say it's over, but we're in a lot of trouble.
Yep. When
a person does that arithmetic and says, "Hey, if I can't feel as good as this all the time, then I don't want to be here anyway." Whoa. Okay, we got a serious problem because how do you answer that argument? You know what I'm saying? Like, so, right. And when the spirit of that kind of thought gets a hold of a person's mind, like, just makes me wonder like how strong, because all of us perceive ourselves to be like, well, I got kids and a wife and this and that, people depending on me, I would never do that, but I don't know what it's like to be them and like have that thought process in my head.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Ugh.
Like, do you think that I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
It reminds me of that time, like, there was somebody that we knew, to my knowledge, heroin was their thing, and I had never seen anyone be so explicitly clear with someone. Like, you know, normally you just be like, you know, this is not healthy for you. You know, like those are the ways that, you know, maybe there's some alternatives. Maybe we can get you into a program. Like, but you were like, this is going to kill you. You're going to die and you're going to make your daughter bury you. And I was like, what the fuck? I couldn't believe that you said that to him. And I thought either he was never going to speak to you again, or that was going to be like a turning point for him, like having that like explicitly said to him. But it's like you said, he already knows that. He already probably did those calculations. Yeah, and as much as it hurts him to think of it, it's still. And I know that you were saying that because you were trying to, you know, wake him up, and you care deeply, love that guy. So yeah, that was. I was just naive. Did you think that was gonna? I didn't think it was gonna like turn her around in an instant, but I thought it would be a gut punch, and it would instigate some serious, you know, or even if he was mad at me, like I was willing to risk the entire relationship. I'd known dude for years, but I was willing to like put the whole relationship on the line. But he didn't even have a. That is what made me say, okay, we're in a lot of trouble with this guy, because it's just. His whole life now is about that feeling and that substance. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. But yeah, that what they did with that open chord, that open note thing on that thing was just crazy. Like all night, like we've been dealing with dudes and like folks managing their emotions in healthy ways and unhealthy ways, and then the effects that it has on everybody around them. Mm-hmm. And there's just a lot of things that can classify as addictions. That if you don't look certain things in the face, you end up throwing up all over a lot of people that you need and need you. But we have more songs on the way. What did you give the song? Ah, jeez. You go first. This took over as my song of the night, only because of that open riff and that they played it in a C instead of an E. I think, I'm not sure.
If we had Jambi around, I'd be able to get the answer really quickly because I'd just say, "Oh, they played that in E." Jambi be like, "What an idiot it is! It's a C major."
Right. You don't even have to ask him.
Because if I said, "Hey, Jambi, can you tell me what key this is in?" He would never.
Right.
But I'd have to say, "Oh yeah, that's a great
Oh,
E." So then
no.
Jambi could come and say, "That's a C major. What an idiot it is." Blah 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 blah. 9.5. I really like the song.
9.7 for me.
Dustin gave it an 8.9. How dare you, 7? As if I like the song better than you like the song.
Yeah, I know. What the heck?
We have another song on the way, dear listener. It's from a band. I don't know if you've heard of them before.
Dark New Day.
New
Taking Me Alive.
Day. Dark New Day, bitches. We shall return. Turn. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Go. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at sori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull
You
that
can
off.
also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee, a positive
you
review.
A positive review.
Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
Rubbish. That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
Buy merch indeed. The child shall lead them
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. This stream is brought to you by the big homie, the mighty 7 Dusted, whose birthday is today. It's also the day, it's his 33rd anniversary with the United States, serving his country. Having said that,
He said this is the final song tonight in the
What?
Southeast. Yeah. We had 7 songs tonight.
Are you sure?
Yeah. See?
Well, shit. Okay. All right, continue.
Dark New Day, Taking Me Alive. Final song tonight. Did you get that message to skip it ahead 35 seconds?
Yeah.
In the Southeast, where I was playing in the live club circuit at the time, this was a super group having members of Stuck Mojo, Double Drive, Virgos Merlot, and Seven Dust. These guys were stars in the Florida, Georgia rock scene of the late 90s, early 2000s. They stole the show from any other bands they shared the stage with, including Chevelle, Seether, Crossfade, Disturbed, etc.
I'll be the judge of that.
Their final single was huge, and this song was included in the House of Wax soundtrack. Unfortunately, the label Warner Brothers decided to wait an insane amount of time before releasing their second record. 8 years.
Of course.
So, of course, all the members went off to do other projects. Oh, that really sucks. Okay.
These record labels, man.
I know. How could they do that?
These are the same people that are block all of our videos when we're actually like promoting their band for free.
I know. Think about it, people. You show your age.
It's so strange. These record labels are absolutely ridiculous. All right,
let's go.
I'm very excited to hear this band, Dark New Day. Okay, let's see this band, Dark New Day, Taking Me Alive. Let's do it. I know there's ambient noise. I'm not skipping because I want the ambient noise. Seven Dust kind of scream. So much, dude. That is how I got into metal.
Definitely a fan.
That is how I got into metal, and that is how I am getting out is new freaking metal. Thank you very, very much. Very much. Very much. I really like that song. I liked, see, this one had the traditional, like, low-end shit that I love. Like,
Me too.
I always said some of my stuff, all my shit is low-end. Well, the little soft song I played wasn't low-end. It started out like a B or C or something like that, but all my shit is low-end. 7 knows that. Okay. This is another one where the person's, like, struggling. I don't know if it's, like, substance abuse or just, like, self-improvement type of thing.
This to me was self-improvement.
Yeah, it's like it's again another thing where you gotta have to look yourself in the face and be like, you know what? Sometimes you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're the villain.
Yep.
You desecrate your temple with anger. A hollow body fueled by hate.
Hollow.
I feel no better.
Anger.
Don't look for answers.
Hatred.
Blown away. There was never a reason why. It's sick either way, sick either way. It's sick either way you look at it. So take what you want and leave a hole inside. Take everything you need to keep you satisfied. Break everything you see, then try to hide. Take it all, but you're never taking me alive. This is kind of like the inversion of, like, what, song 3, where he said, the American Head Charge one, where it's like, don't let anybody in your heart, you won't be hurt again. So it looks like he's, like, looking in the mirror talking to himself. At the beginning when he says you desecrate your temple with anger.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I thought he was talking to somebody else, though. He's saying you desecrate your temple with anger, a hollow body fueled by hate, hollow. I feel no better. Anger. Don't. So it sounds like maybe it's like people that are talking together. They both have a problem with the same person, maybe, or the same situation. Because he said it's sick either way. So I thought he was talking about the whatever it was that was fueling their frustration and their anger.
7. Hear me! Who's he talking to in your mind? In your mind, 7. I'm looking at my text now. Okay, so what do you think he's saying? You desecrate your temple with anger.
Well, I think that he's talking to somebody else, but he's also talking to himself. I think it's both. Because he says, I feel no better. So that to me sounds like he's talking to somebody else. But by the end of the song, he says, now you've used my weakness against me, a Trojan horse already through the gate, which I think obviously is his hate and anger issues. That's the Trojan horse. What did you think the Trojan horse was?
I think the person using his weakness against him, he's saying, is the Trojan horse, because presumably they got close to you in order for you to do that. Right? So in order for somebody to successfully use your weakness against you, they have to know you to some degree to know what the weaknesses are. Mm-hmm. So if you look at the Trojan example, it was, hey, this is a gift for you, so we're going to lower our defenses and let you inside. Mm-hmm. And then once we lower our defenses and let you decide, then you went off and attacked us.
Yeah.
So what he's saying, it looks like, is we were friends. I lowered my defenses. I let you inside. Let you know what my weaknesses were. And now you're using them against me. So that person
okay. I can see that.
is the Trojan horse in that aspect. But
okay.
That's an interesting way of looking at somebody, like substance abuse or whatever the abuse is, or whatever the thing is like a person taking it out on their own body. Mm-hmm. That's an interesting way of looking at it. Like, and then it becomes like a weird kind of cyclical thing. Like, do you resent your own body and so you're taking the drugs, or is it, do you resent yourself and do you hate yourself for not being able to overcome whatever this pathology is, and so now you're going to take the drugs knowing that it's destroying you as a form of punishment?
Oh my gosh. So
you're angry at yourself, or you're full of hatred or whatever.
Yeah.
For that reason. That's a pretty crazy way of looking at it. It's like you're doing this thing because you're so full of hate and anger, and you're the last person you're taking it out on, because you're at the point where you can't hurt anybody. Mm-hmm. So that's somebody who's just like bent on self-destruction because, a hollow body fueled by hate. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think you're right. Like, he's talking to this other guys, and he's like, yo, it's sick the way you know. And then he's saying, like, Now you've used my weakness against me, a Trojan horde already through the game. Weakness, I spiral down into the excuses, search for excuses. It's time to take an honest look inside. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so to your point, like you're talking to somebody else and saying, you can look at it as if I'm attacking you, or you can look, or you're just making another excuse.
Right.
Because unfortunately, when it comes to substance abuse, like those folks they've got a very, I don't know if they're doing it on purpose, but they create this sort of dynamic where it's impossible to call them on their shit. Because the minute you say anything negative pertinent to the substance, they'll say, oh, here you go again, you're throwing the shit in my face. So it's like, well, no, you're saying that the drug is not really a problem. You're saying, oh, it's no big deal. I can stop whenever. It's not a problem. And then when you say, okay, then why did your 5-year-old daughter find you passed out then? Mm-hmm. So you're coming up with this bullshit lie and excuse that you're doing fine. So then, in order to combat that, the person goes, what are you talking about? We just saw you. We just had to scrape you. Then it's, oh, you're throwing this shit in my face. Oh, you're insulting me. So it's like, okay, so then it comes out to I can never criticize you for this specific issue, because the next time you say, hey, I can get over, it's not that big of a deal. I can't talk about the last 30 ways you've destroyed everybody's life around you with your substance abuse issue. So you've created this heuristic where nobody can ever criticize you for that. But I'm not convinced that those people are sitting on their bed thinking that through. I just think, like Peterson says, they're
just reacting.
You get possessed by a certain kind of mindset. Mm-hmm. And I think once you get possessed by that mindset, the thing kind of has a life of its own, and it kind of begins to direct you. Which opens up a whole different other ball of wax. When people talk about, like, what is actual demon possession? Mm-hmm. What does that mean? Because a lot of us think about, and the reason I'm bringing that up is because another word for alcohol or whatever is spirits. Yeah. Because the idea was when you ingest this thing, something else is taking you over. So hence the term spirits. Like you're ingesting something that's...
Yeah, I've heard that before, yeah.
But like, if you think about consciousness as you're in the fifth dimension, like KRS-One was saying, when you say rock star in your head, you're hearing without ears and seeing without eyes, and that's where the real you resides. And so you're just using this body as the sort of controls for this avatar in the fourth dimension that you're operating in the fifth dimension. And so if you were just to say, yeah, demon possession is what happens when a malevolent consciousness in the fifth dimension takes over the controls of that avatar. So that changes the understanding, because now you're not looking for the eyes rolling in the back of the head and levitating and all this other weird shit. Mm-hmm. You're looking for, if I didn't like you and I wanted your character to lose in a video game, what would I do?
Sabotage.
I would just sabotage everything and just completely destroy it. And all your teammates are like, what the fuck are you doing? So if you look at demon possession as simply somebody taking the controller...
Boy, that is interesting.
Then all the weird, Rosemary's Baby stuff, all the woo-woo silliness, like, goes out, and, like, you look at it and say, this is a guy who everything is getting destroyed around him, and...
Wow, that's such an interesting way of looking at it.
He wants to stop and can't.
Yeah.
So what's going on there? So, Jung talks about this being possessed by the anima,
Yeah.
Like, people, they do, though. They get possessed by a certain kind of, in my view, like, dark, malevolent intelligence that then creates all of these templates where you can insulate yourself for your addiction. So I don't think these people are, like, really thinking about, but the pattern is the same all the time. They're hedging around their addiction so that you can never criticize their addiction. Mm-hmm. And you're just supposed to go along with it. And what happens is, in extremists, is on the one side, you'll have somebody that says, okay, I'm going along with that game. Like the enabling, matriarch figure. Like, okay, I'll go along with it and enable your bullshit. And then on the other side, you have people that go, nope, see ya. Or you're out the team, or you're out of the band, or I'm getting a divorce, or whatever. And look, you're always going to look like the sympathetic figure. They kicked you out of the band. You know, oh, she left you. So you're always going to look like the sympathetic figure. Everybody left me when I was at my lowest. You know, I can't tell you how many people told me that. And like when I first heard that, I'd be like, damn, man, what the hell? What a cold world. But then after a while, I mean, really, it was after our experience down there. You know, like when I'm like, yeah, people left you at your lowest, but you manufactured that lowest. And then you demanded everybody to stay in the shit with you. Mm-hmm. And because they refused to stay in the shit with you, now they're the bad guys. Mm-hmm. Well, no, you're the bad guy for dragging everybody down. And I'm not saying like you can't have a bad day. I'm not saying you can't have a bad life. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you can't have a bad couple of years. What I'm saying is at some level inside, we are making those decisions.
Right.
And so like all of us have to reconcile ourselves to the things that we've seen, the things that we've exposed ourselves to.
Right.
We all have to take accountability for that on the inside. And I think if you can look inside of yourself and take responsibility for the way that you have participated in your own misery and the misery around you, then you're in good shape. If you refuse to take that good hard look in the mirror, then you're going to alienate everybody around you. So to me, those are kind of like the themes. Like if I look at all the songs, like the chord that goes through all of them is kind of like facing yourself, taking accountability for yourself, and you know, that kind of thing. So
yeah.
What were your thoughts?
Well, I focused more on the, you know, like what he was saying about anger and hate, and like the word like hollow. Just the way that he explained that first part, just because I was always taught like don't let the sun go down on your anger and stuff like that. So I took that super literally. Like I tried to get everything squared by nighttime, but that doesn't necessarily like work that way. Basically, he's trying to communicate, clear this stuff up as soon as you can, because obviously if right before the sunset you had this big massive fight about something unbelievable and then the sunset, it's not like you're supposed to be like, okay, I forgive you, we're good, let me just go on. But just so I had that as a principle, but I didn't really understand like, well, what's so bad about hate and what's so bad about anger. And so I kind of would just probably, if I had an issue with that, I just kind of pushed it to the side and never really dealt with it. But when like I went through my divorce and I started feeling like real like anger and hate toward people, and there was some people that I kind of just let it sit there because I felt like they kind of deserved it. But then it like was eating me inside. Like it was when he says like the hollow, and then he said, take what you want and leave a hole inside. Like hate and anger, it'll steal everything from you until you're just like the shell of a person. And there's not really a whole lot of stuff to be happy about anymore. It's a very, very horrible. So like it said it in the Bible, like don't let the sun go down on your anger. And I did it, you know, to my knowledge, the best that I could. But then when I hit a point where I actively was choosing to like hold on to stuff, like it was a pretty negative experience. So that's kind of, and he called it a temple too. He said, did you desecrate your temple with anger? And, so I took that as like the person, like themselves, like you've destroyed yourself because of that anger. Anger and bitterness, it'll wreck everything.
Yeah, we were talking about it like 2 songs back where you know, I was talking about, you know, that soldiers are also prone to addiction because of their very closely constituted like artists,
right? With the
in the sense that they've got
feelings
this
first
burning desire for something inside of them to be expressed, and then you get addicted to, you know, because combat is a chemical.
Yep.
So what Seven was saying is, and the only reason I'm sharing this is because I was green lighted to. Thematically for Seven, the themes were relative to addiction and things of that nature. But check this out: my addiction to isolation and reconciling the paradox of absolutely adoring my family and struggling with an addiction to the action and isolation, you know, that comes with, I mean, we've seen this, like we just got done watching this show where this dude is he's taken part in some pretty unhealthy stuff that's literally cost people their lives and is tearing apart his family.
Yep.
And throughout the entire show, he's like, everything I do, he does. It's like a ritual at the end of every season. He has this conversation. Everything I do it for you guys. And then in the last, second to last episode, he goes, everything I do. And the wife goes, here we go. And he goes, I did it for me.
Yeah.
Then he says, basically that it made him feel alive.
Yeah.
And that's an extremely difficult thing for people outside of that situation to understand. Mm-hmm. It's extremely and you see it in all. I see it in all great people. Like I said, I was just talking. I don't know if it was Seven or M. Pretty sure that I was talking yesterday about how you saved me. Because I just knew it was a non-starter. Like if we would have met each other in high school, maybe it'd have been different. You know what I'm saying? Like.
No.
I don't know. But
my feelings on it, or you mean what would have happened?
What would have happened?
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
I don't
would
know.
Have had the ability to say, "Come on, I'm just gonna be, blah 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 for a couple of years, whatever." But I just knew that I couldn't do. You were just not gonna accept that lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Like you were not gonna accept. Hey,
it's crazy because if you would have asked me, I would have said, we'll make it work, blah blah blah. But you had a clearer assessment of how
I wasn't even gonna. No, I knew it wasn't. Because even when we were friends, you were having a hard time, especially the last one. The last one, you were like, "Don't go, blah blah blah."
I didn't even know what you were.
It's gonna be dangerous, blah blah blah. I'm like, what the fuck? This is so bad. And dudes are so superstitious. Like this is like I'm like, I had in my head like this is my last trip, blah blah blah. And then like the kids were telling me not to go. You were telling me not to go. I get jammed up at the embassy. There's just so much shit that was happening. I was like, oh man, this is. But at the same time, though, you just made it impossible. It was you were them. So, it was good. But a lot of guys, the situation's a little bit different with everybody.
That's so crazy that you say that.
Everybody's situation is different, but. That's a real self-aware thing to realize, like the endorphin rush, the action, and then the isolation that you get, like how much you enjoy that but love your family at the same time. And the only way they could ever know is if they could like be inside of us and understand what's happened. They go, oh, I'm completely loved, I'm completely adored. It's just some people just made up a certain way. And, some shit's hard to let go. And everybody's situation is different. Like, if you get exposed to really extreme shit or you're doing really extreme shit, sometimes, like, you've had your fill. If you're on the periphery, but you're still liking the excitement, it's like everybody's different. Everybody's circumstance is just different. And I think really deep down, just like with any addiction or any, like, major life change, if I really look deep down, that's why, like, I remember, like, when we were first married, you'd always ask me, if something would happen on the news or whatever, you'd be like, oh, I'm like, hey, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? But when I really, really think about it, it was a self-motivated decision. Especially considering where the kids were at, like...
Yeah, they needed you.
It was just such an entirely different circumstance than I was in than other people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, like, that's the reason that it stuck and that it took was that, like, it was internally, I was looking at my life and being like, yo, if this is the dream job or whatever, like, literally get a call anytime. And, like, I was gone. Like, you were there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but I didn't know.
But like, it was a dream job. But at the same time, like, I just remember being on the plane and I just remember looking at everybody and just thinking to myself, like, yo, if I'm good, if I can actually like get home, like I'm donezo. And I had no idea how I was gonna do it. I had no idea how, you know what I'm saying? Like, thank God that, whatever. But yeah, man. Yeah, it was deep. Thank you for sharing that, Seven. That was really, 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 you've done a lot of thinking, man. And that's the thing I appreciate about the homie. He's done a bunch of thinking, and you got a really 2020 view of yourself internally, as much as I've seen with anybody, and that's saying a lot. There you go. I really like this song. 9.7 for me.
Yeah, 9.8 for me.
Holy smoke, there we go.
Good message.
Another one in the basket. Look at yourself in the mirror, I guess, and accept whatever you see. Accept means, hey, nobody's perfect, everybody sucks, so accept that about yourself, and then the things that you want to change,
start working on them.
Get your friends and start working and start talking, and take baby steps, dear listener. The biggest step, though, is self-realization. That's what we're about here. The fam is doing good. New fam is doing good. Shout out to Seven Dusted for the stream. Guys, we are coming right back. As you guys heard, we've got
next week there's a lot.
We've got some unsigned bands that we're about to show off to you guys. We've got some Alliance streams that are coming up back to back to back. So next week is going to be a banger for you guys. We've got a lot of content coming for you guys. Shout out to Seven Dusted on his freaking birthday.
Happy birthday.
Laying down the hammer with some really heavy topics on his birthday. But hey, that's what we're about. Pony, yep, you're going to text me. I was going to tell you to text me. So text me. I'll be on the phone checking out for you. Having said that, dear listener, love your neighbor. Take care of each other. Finn out.
Sori out.
Gone.